Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning and hello. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here, guys. Let's see who we got in chat here. We have Luigi, as always. How's it going, man? Hello, fellow epic gamer. How are you? First person to join Pog. That's right. Thank you, Sonic, for being here. Our lovely promoter. Hello. How's it going, Scott? Hey, y'all. Scott here. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for being here. You should say, hey, all, Scott here. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Lazuli Shadow? Am I saying that correctly? Thanks so much for being here. Let's see. Heck, that's a good idea. Hey, Scott. All here. 100% do that. Hey, how's it going, Connor? You spent all your money on loot boxes. Is this the proper thing to do? I don't want to give the entire thing away, Connor, but I'm just going to go ahead and say probably not. It's probably not the best use of your money, in my opinion. So I had to dress the part. I had to wear like a suit and like a dress-up shirt because when you talk about money and you're in the finance industry, you have to be over the top and dressy. So I'm trying to fit the part as best I can. Thank you, Sonic. I appreciate that. It's from an episode of Scott the Woz. Good morning, Hedgehog. Thank you for being here. Yes, this is the same David Direct getup. Exactly, Scott. Thanks for being here, by the way, man. Good to see you. Hello, Silver. Dude, thanks for the host, man. I appreciate that a lot. All right, so what do you guys think would work? Should I open like a PowerPoint and type in a PowerPoint? Should I open a Word doc? Because I have an outline, but I don't want to show you guys the outline because it's like, I don't know, kind of dull. So I was thinking I could either do like a PowerPoint or I could do like really bad drawings in Microsoft Paint. What do you guys think would work the best for you? What would be the most? What would provide the most entertainment value for you guys? A PowerPoint? Okay. Just jumped in to say hey. Okay, awesome. Well, enjoy your lunch, man. I'm glad that you popped in. I'm glad that you recognize this look too, because it is the same exact look. Whatever I feel like doing. PowerPoint. All right. Hey, why not? Why not? Let's make a PowerPoint presentation together. All right, we're gonna call this Financial Well-Being. Thank you, Scott, so much for the host. Oh, and thanks for reminding me. I might pause some awards. What a note to start on. Let's see. Channel points. I'm going to pause some of the things you can redeem with channel points for now, just because I don't want to really interrupt this. I want to have this be more like a brainstorm session. But don't worry, you're still accruing points. You can still unlock certain things. But I'll probably leave the Donkey Kongs up. This Donkey Kong, come on. You can't put that away. Or bad Microsoft. You like either one, Luigi. Okay. Donkey Kong! What should I do with my money? Excellent question, Toady. I'm glad you asked. First time doing this? Nice, Silver. So I gave a guy my Twitch Prime, and he had a 0-2 emote. Oh, did? Oh, that's perfectly on brand for you, Sonic. I love that. Hey, Zero. It's been a while. How are you? Thanks for being here. Those are some good Beta 64 emotes. Okay, so we'll make a PowerPoint. I guess what we could do is we could make our PowerPoint, but then also create really bad drawings to go along with it. I think that's what we'll do. By David V. Kimball and Twitch community. Heart. Okay, actually, I'm going to use an actual emote. Perfect. A black heart. Just like how we're feeling right now. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing well, Zero. Thanks for being here. It's good to see your name again. Jump Force? Okay, awesome. Feel free to do whatever you want while you lurk. I'm just glad that you're here. Mr. Kimball is doing business stuff. That's right, Link. I'm doing business stuff today. Because I thought it would be fun. A nice change of pace, you know? Alright, so we're calling this... We're going to make this as boring. We're going to make this a black and white, boring PowerPoint. And you guys are going to help me make it, alright? Alright, so the first thing I'd like to talk about... Alright, so before I get into this, I will just give you an overview, like a set of bullet point highlights about what this stream is going to be about. The basic ideas, the basic principles are live within your means, save now to prosper later, budget wisely, take advantage of deals and opportunities, accrue as little debt as possible, pay off any debt that you do have and make that your number one priority. And then lastly, don't get divorced. Now, don't get divorced seems like it's coming out of left field, especially for a lot of you that are more young, like I am, and maybe you're not thinking about marriage or that stuff as much. But it's still important to remember because it will inform your dating, it will inform who you decide to marry and everything, because it drastically impacts your financial situation. So, anyway, we'll talk about all those things today. Should I still promote the merchandise? Yeah, Sonic, you do whatever you'd like. If you would like to promote my merchandise, you can do that. Do you give advice on Minecraft financials? You know what? That's a good point, Scott. I should probably talk about how to wisely save your channel points in a Twitch stream. We'll do that next time. Don't get divorced. Good. Also, David, I have a question. What's your favorite character in PM I haven't covered yet? We're going to probably... I'll cover that later. I'll cover that later, Link. I'm 14. Definitely not thinking about that at the moment. Fair enough, man. You're a youngin'. That's fine. But I think it's still going to be valuable to talk about. All right, so the first thing we will discuss... Actually, let's just do highlights. I'll copy exactly what I said to start with. All right. So here we have it. These are the items. You know what'd be funny? What if I made like little really crude drawings to go along with it? Like a really bad thumbs up in Microsoft Paint. Okay. Live within your means. Oh, whoa. This is way too big. Stop. No, I don't want your design ideas, Microsoft PowerPoint. Paint. Yeah, that's right. We're doing paint. Actually, I want to make this a little smaller. Let's do like this big. Live within your means. I might have to make it even smaller than that. Okay, live within your means. Save now to prosper later. We'll just do a classic $sign for this one. Beautiful. All right, that's still... Oh my gosh, stop doing this. Gosh. PowerPoint's gotten so obnoxious. All right, I'll make this even smaller. Okay. Budget wisely. What icon should we use for budgeting? I know, we'll use like a little bar graph. Okay, this is very good. This is very, very good. All right, it's taking too long to make these icons, so we'll just stick with the first three because now I'm getting impatient. I'm gonna save this. Let's just save it in documents for now. David Ross. I know, I'm painting a canvas for you guys, exactly. Put a treasure chest for saving. That's a pretty good idea. It's a good idea to invest half my money in Jones Soda stock. I can't comment on investing in Jones Soda stock because I'd be a tad biased towards wanting to do that. So I'm just going to let you make your own decisions when it comes to investing. Just use the stocks meme. That's a brilliant idea. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is what you do with your net income. Now, does anybody know what net income is? Net income is because you'll make a certain amount when you work somewhere, you'll get paid a certain amount. But that amount of money, you won't actually get all of it. You'll only get some of it. And the reason you only get some of it is because some of it goes away for taxes. Some of it, if you have a 401k, maybe some of it goes to a 401k that you have. Maybe some of it goes to insurance, right? There's different things that the money you actually earn will go to that won't end up directly in your pocket. Does that make sense? My net income is the $5 in my wallet. That's one way to think of it, yeah. So let's say you earn $10 an hour, right? Maybe 10% of that goes away in taxes and 10% goes away to insurance. And then maybe you're only left with like $8 or $7, depending on the other things you have from that hour. So, yeah. Or like, to make it easier, let's say you make, well, you get the idea. You get the idea. So what do you do with it, all right? The basic principle is live on 70% of your net income. Okay? What this means is whatever like the net income you get is, right? Whatever you get, you want to only live on part of it, because 10% of that money will go to savings. 10% of it will go to either tithing, if you're faith inclined, to a church, or to charity. 10% goes to an emergency fund. All right, this is like the basic structure. Like, no matter how much money you make, no matter how you get paid, this is the kind of framework you want to have at the very minimum, in my opinion. Jones Soda. That's right, there's a Jones. Also, 10% of it goes to buying Jones Soda specifically. Just kidding, that's a joke. Hey, how's it going, Fen Crane? It's been a while. Thanks so much for being here. It's been a minute since we had met up in person. I'm doing very well. How are you doing, my friend? Does this make sense to everybody? So, let's say I bring home $100 of net income. So I've paid off all the taxes and all the insurance stuff or whatever else. I only have $100 from my check. It's my net income. $10 of that I'm going to put in a savings account. 10% of that I'm going to reserve for giving to my church or donating to a charity. And then 10% of it goes to a separate emergency fund. And we'll talk a little bit more about what savings account and what emergency funds are and how you can get them and how you can use them. But for now, just keep these basic principles in mind. Now, where this might change, unless you have debt, 50%. Okay? So if you're in debt, well, 50% is really what I would say. Basically, when you're in debt, you need to have a different mindset. So, is everyone familiar with what being in debt is? Is everyone familiar with that? Basically, when you spend money you don't have, and then you owe someone money. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Nick. What's going on, man? You're doing well? Oh, I completely understand that. I'm staying clear of Seattle too right now. I think everybody is. All right. You should add more in parentheses next to emergency fund. Okay. Because really, we talk about both of them. Thanks, Tony, for the suggestion. Oh, me too. I can't wait till the next Soba Fen. Alright, so now if you're in debt, right, you want to put 20% into debt, paying off debt. Now remember, this is in addition to the items that you are already putting away. So when you add an extra 20%, that means you're only living on 50%. Now, this is not always feasible, depending on your situation, but if you can make this work, absolutely do try to make this work. And then in general, regardless, do not spend more than 33% of your net income on rent, mortgage. All right, so this last point's important. So now a lot of you probably live at home or you live with your parents or something like that, so you don't have to worry about this. But I would say, sorry, unless you have debt or are living rent-free. All right. So, I spelled mortgage wrong. Okay. Hey, how's it? Oh, dude, Synapse, how's it going, man? Thanks for being here. Skills to pay the bill, y'all. Yeah, that's what this is all about. So thanks for being here. We're going to talk more about that. Everyone better pay the Jones Soda. Yeah, that's very important. I love streams like this. Good topic, and it's something different. Thank you, Fen. I really appreciate the support. This is definitely something new for me that I'm trying. So thanks for the support. David teaching us the stuff schools don't. You pay rent. Okay. All right, Handheld. Then this would apply to you. Because sometimes you live with your parents and you pay them rent, and that's a good situation. But sometimes they'll give you like an aggressive discount, in which case I would consider this approach because you're probably getting a really good deal if you're living with your parents. Sometimes you're not. So it depends on your structure and your situation. It's great because now we notice, even though school teaches me. Oh, not even school teaches you this. Okay. Yeah, that's why I think it's important to teach like young adults about this stuff, because I learned this because I have a dad in the financial industry and he has taught me a lot of this stuff, and then some of the stuff I've learned and some of the stuff that he's taught me. So I've had a really good chance to like dive into it and figure stuff out. All right, so that's really the first one. Now remember this. I'm going to have you guys type it out in chat. If you, in general, how much of your income should you live off of? I want a percentage number. Type the percentage number you should have for your net income. How much should you be living off of from the information that we've gone over? 70. Yes, Scott, exactly. 70%. Now, if you're in a lot of debt or you're living rent-free, what's that number? Riskodad, close with 1,000%, but not quite. Scott got it right. Yes, Toady, exactly. So if you're in debt or you're living rent-free, you want to aim for that 50%. You should be saved. You should be paying off as much to your debt as possible. Or wait, no, rent doesn't make sense. You're living rent-free. Okay, rent or savings. So if you're in debt, that extra 20% goes to debt. If you're living rent-free, that extra 20% goes to savings. Not quite, Silver. Not quite. Not quite. Is there a point at which I can stop putting money towards an emergency fund and put it towards debt? Good question. Is there a point at which I can stop putting money towards an emergency fund? Yeah, what I would say is, assuming that you're not in debt, you don't have like a crippling amount of debt, only just be happy with the 10% you're putting towards an emergency fund. Actually, no, in either scenario, you're really only putting 10% away in the emergency fund every month, and you're putting as much as you can towards your debt. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question, Connor? I hope I answered your question. If not, clarify and I'll get to it. I have to go for a second. All right, sounds good, Nick. We'll be here when you come back. What if your debts are interest-free? That's a good question. That's a good question, Synapse. I might need to make that distinction. I would still say if your debts are interest-free... Okay, so prioritize the ones that have interest. Absolutely. I'm going to write that down. Prioritize higher interest debt. That's a very good point. How come I can't spell prioritize? Prioritize. Okay. So if you have an interest rate that's really high, obviously think about basically you want to pay that one off first. And that should be your number one priority. Paying off debt should be the most important thing you do if you have it. If you have interest-free debt, it's not as important, but it's still debt, and you should pay it off. That should still be super important. I live on Mac, but I can't afford squat, like a Mac computer. If you're making loads of money, you can live off less and save more in different areas. Yeah, exactly. I mean, really, like in an ideal world, you'd be saving 90% of your money, but that's not always feasible. So these are what I would consider to be the bare minimum. Make that known, like minimum. All right, I'll say minimum in the title because this should be the very minimum you do. If you can spend money on your entertainment and spend money on your living and your food and your electricity and whatever else you have to buy, and that's only 30%, save the 70%, or divvy up the 70% with all this stuff and put even more into savings, put even more into your stuff, right? So this is minimum. Let's be really clear about that. So to Riskodad's point, more is always better for saving, I would say. I could splurge and get one thing. My low budget would be a Mac Mini. Actually, I'm going to get to purchasing tech later in this presentation, so hold your questions for that, because I actually address that directly later on. Is this presentation going to be similar to the team dynamics? In some ways, Toady, but I would say different in a lot of ways too. So let's say I make let's see, is that $1,000 or $10,000? That's $1,000 net income, and have, I don't know, $8,000 in an emergency fund. Okay, so when you say net income, you mean per month, I assume. Would it make more sense to put that 10% towards the debt instead of continuing to contribute to my emergency fund? Oh, you're saying if you have like a bunch already in your emergency fund. I think so, right? So let's talk about what an emergency fund is. An emergency fund can be used for multiple things. I mean, it's for emergencies, obviously, right? So like if you get hit by a car, paying a medical bill. If you get fired, paying for a few months of rent or mortgage, whatever it is. Or it's like, if you're in a scrape. So I would say if you can envision a future where your emergency fund, the funds that you have now, can cover a few emergency scenarios, and you have a crazy debt that you want to destroy, I would say yes. I would say put more towards your debt. However, I don't know that I would take away the 10% to the emergency fund. I think forcing yourself to do at least 10% in an emergency fund every month is probably a good idea, because you'll be glad you have it if there's an emergency. So I would look at other places in your budget or other places to contribute more to your debt, and I would not stifle your contributions to your emergency fund. I would find other places, in my opinion. All right, no problem, Sonic. We'll see you when you get back. Whatever important stuff it is, I'm sure you should attend to it. Good financials? I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that too, Scott. Cheers. You should remove parentheses comments. Okay, sure. Because I guess we already talked about it above. Okay, so now we're going to do a new slide. Cheers for Jones Soda. That's right. We love Jones Soda here. All right. So now we're going to cover budgeting. Now, budgeting, okay, I got to be honest. My financially inclined advisors advocated that I budget, and budgeting is a pain in the butt. Like, when I thought of budgeting, I thought about like making an Excel spreadsheet and typing everything out and like having to update it every month, and that is a royal pain, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies. Unless you're a CPA, you're an accountant, and you have sophisticated software, or you have like really good macros in your Excel sheet or something like that, or you're importing data from some data set or whatever. Those are all exceptions. By and large, I don't wish that experience on anybody. So, and they are not a sponsor or anything, use an app called Mint. Mint is amazing. So Mint is a mobile app. It's a website you can sign up for that's made by Intuit, which also makes QuickBooks. Some of like the tax stuff you may have heard of if you're familiar with that. And they actually, I'm gonna check my mic settings really fast. I want to make sure they're right. They're unbelievable. They basically automate your budget. Like, you basically make the budget yourself. You have to do some upfront manual work to at least get your budget going. Okay, the mic's got a good level. All right, thanks, Toady. You have to get it. You have to set it up initially, but then as you connect your accounts to it, and as it learns a bit more, it'll automate your budget for you. It's really, 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 really helpful. A good rule of thumb for an emergency fund is to have 3 to 6 months of expenses covered. Yes. Great point, Synapse. I want to articulate that somewhere. Maybe I'll say 3 to 6 months of expenses covered. Yeah, I'll say that's an important enough point to put there, I think. Thank you, Synapse. That's really helpful. That's very random, Snow, but I'm glad you like the test of mints. I'll also say make sure to check the transactions because they don't always bucketize them correctly. Yeah, oh, exactly. So Mint is definitely not a set and forget kind of thing, but it's definitely... It's just, you're going to love Mint if you set it up properly, in my opinion. You're going to love it, okay? So, what did I cover on this? Okay, so the first thing to do is obviously sign up. It's free. I would say connect your accounts. When I say connect your accounts, your bank accounts, cards, PayPal, you know, stuff like that. Then build your categories. And what that is so for someone that's never budgeted before, the way you budget something is you take your net income. Remember we talked about what net income was before. Your net income is the actual dollar amount that hits your bank account after you get paid. So it's not actually the money that you make from your job, because the money you make from your job is not your net income. That's your gross income. So some of that will be dispersed in the insurance you're paying, in the taxes you're paying, and all that nonsense, right? The actual net income is the actual dollar value that you get in your bank account, okay? So what you do is you take that amount, that net income that you make from your job, and I would do it by month, right? You figure out what that number is. Let's say it's $1,000. Some of you are not going to make nearly that much, and some of you make more than that. But we're going to use it because it's a round number and it's easy to work with, all right? So let's do a blank slide for this purpose. Budget example. Monthly. All right? This is our example. So we have, what are the things that you need, right? Well, based on what we talked about here, we know you have savings, tithing, and emergency fund. So $100 of that, savings account. $100 of that is tithing, charity. $100 of that is emergency fund. All right, someone type in chat how much money we have left. This is simple math. If you guys don't get this right, I'm going to fire you all. Big bullet points. Have kids for big tax breaks. Oh. You're making a lot more than $1,000 a month. Some people aren't, and some people are living at home, so just keep that in mind, Risco Dad. Some people are still living with their parents, so good. Synapse knows simple math. Scott knows simple math. Very encouraging. You won't have to be on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Very proud. Kids cost more than your tax break. Yeah. Yes. But see, here's the thing about tax breaks. And here's the thing about, what is it? Your tax returns. What's really slimy about your tax returns is that's money you should have had from the beginning. And that's money you should have been able to invest from the beginning. So you're basically getting screwed. Basically, the government gets an interest-free loan from you. You're not making any money on the money that they're withholding, basically. So, 3, Toady, better luck next time. Better luck next time. Depends on how much you spoil them, but yeah, food and diapers at first cost quite a bit. Okay, so $700. So you gotta figure out $700 remaining. So the first 3, you don't even change them. They don't budge. If anything, you take anything extra and you put it towards one of the 3. All right? That's what I would say. So with the $700 remaining, you'll need things like food. You need things like... And then again, this will depend if you have... let's say that you have to pay rent. Rent. Mortgage. Food. And then, by the way, rent mortgage should be... let's say it's $300 because in general a third of your you should never spend more than a third of your income on where you're living, right? So now you have $370 left. So let's say $100 of that is for food. I'm just randomly picking stuff out of my head right now. And then entertainment is like $50. And then I don't know, what can you guys think of other things that we should include on here? Stuff that's like more essential than entertainment. Entertainment just came to my head. Actually, I'll look at my own budget. In a different tab, of course, because that contains sensitive information that I would rather not share. I just need to remember the categories that I set up. Oh yeah, so like gas and and travel expenses. Let's say that's like, I don't know, $50. And then like phone, internet stuff. Let's say that's like $30 a month or $40 a month. I have to add this all up and make sure we're under our budget, by the way. So I think what you'll find is stuff won't be necessarily in your budget. There's also health expenses and stuff. So I would say like health, wellness. Let's say that's like $50. Then clothes, $50. All right, so we're probably over it. So let's see, 100, 240, 340. All right, we have $30 left, I think. And then others for stuff you don't anticipate. I think this, again, this is not necessarily realistic, but this is simply an example of what it might be. So let's do a quick math thing and figure out utilities, gas. Hey, Madchar, how's it going? Yeah, utilities, you're right. So let's adjust our budget a little bit. So 700 minus 330 minus 100 minus 50 minus 50 minus 40 minus 50 minus 50 again minus 30. Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, so I did my math perfectly. So now we have to figure out where we move things around because we want to make room for utilities. $30. David subs. Right. I love that, Toady. I love that. Floating at $40. Dang, I gotta get hooked up with whatever you use. Like I said, this is not a realistic budget. No worries, Madchar. No, anyone that's lurking right now, keep lurking. Seriously, this is supposed to be education. Taxation is theft, Synapse. Also, you want your tax return to be as close to $0 as possible, 100%. If your tax return is a lot more than $0, adjust your withholding number to be higher or lower depending. Happy Pi Day. That's right. Very nice, Magic Bench. It is Pi Day today. Thanks for the reminder. A special Sonic tab because my wallet is magically attached to all things Sonic. So that's why you have to be really careful with your spending on for fun stuff, because when you are thinking about saving your money and you're thinking about doing well in the future, you've got to really put a pause on for fun stuff, right? Use Mint. Nice, Mad. That's awesome. I'm so glad you use it. I love Mint, man. I bought Team Sonic Racing at Target for more money than it was digitally because it was Sonic. All right, so that we'll cover purchasing things in a smart way later. All right, we're talking about budgets right now, Sonic. So let's figure out utilities, because utilities is important. So let's say food is $90. Let's say entertainment is $40. Let's say that clothes is $40. So now we have $30 for utilities. And hopefully in this fictional universe, that'll cover it. All right? And get in this practice of, like, you might, like, build out your budget in a way you think is good, and then you'll find out you need to make budget for something else. Absolutely reallocate and change. And then even if you set your budget in the very beginning, you might find that your spending habits are a little bit different than what you expect. Like, maybe you don't spend $40 on clothes, and you can make this $30 instead. And put more towards health and wellness. If you need more money for, toothpaste or whatever, right? So just in the beginning especially, making healthy approximations is fine. There are just certain things you would not budge on. Like, I would never budge on these first three things. Ever. I would never, ever budge on them. I would budget on them. I would not budge on them. Difference between budget and budge. You could use some of your money, that's right, to buy merchandise at Sonic. That's right. So I realize that as I'm talking about this and how little you should be spending on entertainment compared to, like, something else, I realize that my own financial gain from all things Twitch for myself may be hurt by this. But I think getting the message out more about financial well-being in general would be smarter, I would say. So, yeah. So that's that. We covered budgets, and then, oh, by the way, let's go back to the Mint thing on what you should do. So now you have an idea about what it's like to build a budget. All right, so get in that exercise. After you build your categories like we just did, the exercise we just did, you'll want to, oh yeah, it'll be really tempting to borrow from other categories. For example, you'll say, oh man, like this month I only spent $20 on gas and I have this extra $30. I'm gonna build up my entertainment fund. I'm gonna spend $70 on entertainment because I only spent $20 in gas. Try not to do that, because that's where, if your budget really needs adjusting, edit your budget for every month going forward. Don't change your budget every month to fit like what you're doing that month. And I'll explain more why in a bit, but it'll be tempting to do that. Try to really stand firm on your budgets, I would say, once you set them. And then also, oh, here's another good thing. All right, so this is what's awesome. So Mint will email you if they, well, you can adjust your settings on this, but you can get Mint to email you when you've overspent in a category, you're spending more than usual, or something like that. So what's helpful in this regard is, let's say you signed a contract with Comcast and you got a $70 a month internet deal, and then like a few months later they're charging you $80. So Mint's going to tell you. Let's say you set an internet bill for $70, a budget, sorry. And then you get charged $80. So Mint's going to email you and say, "Hey, you spent more than usual on your internet this month." So then you can sign into your Comcast account and see you're getting charged more, and then call them and see if you can negotiate a lower price or whatever. Because what tends to happen is people just kind of connect their accounts and then they kind of forget about it. And if companies incrementally charge you more, then you might be getting ripped off. But this is a really clear way to know if they're charging you like that. Another thing to try to mention here is non-monthly reoccurring expenses like auto insurance. Right. So Mint actually has something. I'm glad that you asked. Mint has something where you can set it if it's monthly or annually. And if you set it to annually, it'll automatically calculate its monthly equivalent. So let's say, for example, your auto insurance is $100 a year. It'll basically, and you pay that off in January. It'll say $12 a month, and it'll be marked off as paid off in the green for every month until January of the next year. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense, Connor. Because that's a really good call out about annual things. But Mint's got that covered too. It's really, really good. And then be wary of your everything else budget. So Mint will automatically have an everything else budget. And like we did here, make it small, but make it realistic. So an other budget and everything else budget would be like paying to park somewhere, or I don't know. That's all I can think of right now for some reason. But but like, think about that. Think about like this weird little things that you have to account for that you can't necessarily budget for. That's what the other category will be. Do not abuse this category. Do not abuse the everything else budget. Just be thinking about it. Oh, I would also say too, dang it, there was something else I was going to say about, oh yeah, rolling over budgets. Be strategic. So another thing on Mint, right? Let's say like you want to save up for a $60 suit. Hey Donnie, the stream is boring. When's Fortnite? Dude, Fortnite, we'll have a slide dedicated to business and Fortnite. Don't you even worry, Donnie. In my experience, the hardest cost to cut is food. I eat out at work most days because I'm super lazy about groceries. Being forced to work remote because of Corona might make that less of a problem. Okay, awesome topical point, Synapse. So I am the same way. So when I went into an office, I would never make food at home and bag it up and bring it with me to have to then heat up in the crappy microwave at work or whatever. I would just spend money. I would just eat out. I would eat at fast food places. Now I ate out very cheaply at these fast food places to give myself some credit. But you're right. It still ended up being really expensive. And I would say you have to be smart about it. You have to get groceries and things. But working from home because of the corona stuff is really helpful, because you can go to your lunch break, go to your kitchen, and make the thing you need to make in your house, which is just way easier than having to do it all beforehand and bagging it up and going somewhere. So yeah, excellent call out, Synapse. I agree about the food thing. My food budget is embarrassingly large, actually. I will admit to that, because I like to do Uber Eats, I like to eat out and stuff, and I'm trying to do less of that. So that's one area that I'm trying to improve, and I think a lot of us could improve as well. So, all right, no problem, Sonic. Drop a comment when you come back, though, so I know that you're back, so I can catch you up on what we're talking about. So yeah, rolling over budgets, be strategic. So what I mean by rolling over budgets, let's go back to our example here. So let's say there's a $60 suit that you want to buy. I'll write it out so you guys remember. All right, so we have a $60 suit that we want to buy. You can tell Mint to roll over whatever you don't spend on one month to the next month, right? So for example, let's say on January, you spent no money on clothes. So, but you set this budget to roll over. You set your clothes budget to roll over. You spent no money in January. It's now February. Your budget for clothes is now $80. Dude! Thank you, Vitali, for the Twitch Prime sub. What's going on, man? Thank you so much for being here and for subscribing to Twitch Prime. I appreciate that, man. There's another tip, another financial well-being tip. If you don't have a lot of money for subs and you already have Amazon Prime, just connect your account and subscribe with Twitch Prime. This kid thinks it's February. No, Riskodad, this is an example, okay? Vitaly, thank you so much for being here, man. By the way, Vitaly is in the financial industry. His name's, how do I say, Mikhailovich? Am I saying your name correctly? Your username? This guy works in the financial industry, so hit him up. He's awesome, and he's here because I'm talking about this, so thanks for being here. Your food budget should be large. If you eat cheap food every day when you're young, your elderly days will be more expensive. I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. You want to eat, ideally, you'd want to buy good groceries that are healthy and good for you. Now, I don't follow this, so do not use me as a role model for buying food. Use Connor as a role model for buying food, okay? Use Connor as a role model here. All right, back to our example. So it's now February. You have actually $80 to spend on clothes now because you saved the $40 from the previous month, and Mint will reflect that. Mint will say, okay, it's February. You actually are negative $40, which means you have an additional $40 to spend on top of the $40 you normally have for that month. So now you have $80 to spend. You can buy the suit because you saved your money from the previous month. So when you buy the suit, it will say in February you have $20 more remaining to spend on clothes. So it's really, really intuitive, and I recommend thinking very carefully about and strategically about what budgets you set to roll over. I'm actually going to I'm going to type the Mint website in the chat. It's simply mint.com. Hey, Skater Goat, thanks for being here. We're talking about budgeting and financial well-being and saving right now. Thank you so much for being here. I'm shocked to see that you're not wearing sunglasses because your future is bright. Grant, you're too much, my friend. Thanks for being here. We are talking about budgeting and financial well-being. So, to catch everybody up, since we have Skater Goat and Grant and a few other people here, I'm going to briefly go over what we just went over. The idea is, all things being equal, you want to live on 70% of your net income. The money you take home with you, you want to live on 70% of it. 10% of that goes to savings. 10% goes to tithing if you're faith inclined, or it goes to charity. 10% of that goes to an emergency fund, with no exceptions. This just goes away. And then you live on 70% of that. I can't say I'm about to drive home 6 hours. Well, Skater Goat, drive safely, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by. Please drive safely. Oh my gosh, 6 hours, that's nuts. You should put the Mint website on the slide too. That's a good idea. There we go. There it is. All right. And then if you are living rent-free by any chance, or you're in a lot of debt, you should try to aggressively adjust your budget so that you're paying 20% of your net income into your debt, or you're adding that to your savings. All right? So, headed to the Corona. No! Be safe. Do not drive into the Corona. You're used to it? Man, well, I'm glad it's not bad for you, because 6 hours sounds brutal to me. Heck, how's it going, Eon? Thank you so much for being here. We're talking about financial well-being right now. Heck, indeed. I'm glad that you unlocked the heck emote. All right, so we're going to go over budgeting real quick. So do it, and it will look something like this. We use $1,000 net income as an example, which is low for some people and for anybody really living on their own, and is high for some people, anyone that's living at home. But this is an example. Now remember, if you are, this will look a lot different if you are, this rent mortgage piece, if you are not worried about this, you'd take this $330 and you'd allocate it in your savings and tithing and or emergency. That's what you do. All right. I'm not leaving yet. Yikes. Trying to get... No! Okay, no worries. No worries. No worries. I didn't know. You said you're about to drive home, so I thought you meant immediately. So however long you can stay, please stay, Skater Goat. This feels like a herb stream. What is herb? I don't know what that is. Okay, so we've got budgeting down. We've got this concept of living on 70% of your net income. Now let's talk. We have an example of what a budget might look like. Okay, so now let's talk about shopping. How you should be shopping. Okay, PowerPoint's being weird. So, there's a few things I would say. Research. Use Honey. No, they're not a sponsor. Use Honey and Google coupons. All right. Use fast food apps. That's a big one. I'll explain. Okay. So, hey, how's it going, Fraud? Will the slides be available after the lecture? Yes, I mean stream. Hey, this is both a lecture and a stream, Fraud. This will absolutely be available afterwards, as well as the video. In fact, after we step through this as we learn together, I'll go over everything again at the end to be like a concise wrap-up of all this stuff. You buy more things with money than with sugar. Yeah, Insane Asylum, can you get Grant, please? Thanks. If you're living at home, it's probably still low because they don't have any cost for the move part. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true, Risco. I know some people that were making enough money to move out, but they had some kind of student debt, or they had something that they wanted to pay off, or something they wanted to save towards, like buying a house or something. So in some cases, people are making decent amount of money, but they're living with their parents strategically to save that money up. But I would say, by and large, what you're saying is correct. I would say most people that are living at home have to out of not making enough money. So this is about accommodating for people that are making more money and people that aren't. So I'm trying to kind of hit both audiences. The B64 bruh emote backwards. Oh. Okay, you're about to, Skater. Okay. Concise wrap-up. You mean DK rap? Stop, Grant. No. I just was reminded of the stupid purchase I made of the new Tamagotchi because it started beeping. Everyone's like feeling like, oh no. How's it going, Avrada? Thanks for being here. Hula indeed. Alright, so when I say research, I mean go to a store and compare prices. Compare web stores. So never just buy something, I would say. Whatever you're buying is going to be the best deal you can. And this requires you to not be as lazy with your purchases, and it requires you a lot more effort because you got to search more things out. All right, so you are about to leave. All right, bye, Skater Goat. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you could stay a little bit longer, but I understand. Please drive safely on your 6-hour drive. All right, so always do research when you buy things. Never just buy something because you can or because you want it. If you want to buy a game or something, look on Amazon. It's probably cheaper. Just going to be honest. And assuming that shipping's not more. JS Grant has been recently buying new books on Amazon for about half price. Nice. Have you really? Okay, share your secrets. Share your secrets with us, Grant. So that's what I mean by research. Always compare. Never just buy the product outright. Make sure you're getting the best deal. If you're buying things online, use browser extensions and Google searches to make sure you're not missing out on a deal. So like whenever you're on a checkout page, or if you're on there's usually like a coupon code section. So it can't hurt to do a few Google searches and say, coupon code for this website or coupon code for this purchase. And just see if you can find anything. Half the time they don't work, but it's worth searching just to see if you can get like a 30% off deal or whatever. So, all right, Scott. Oh, Scott's not leaving, yeah. Scott, thank you for saying goodbye to our friend Skater. You just have to be happy to wait several weeks and pay like $3.5 USD in shipping. Yes. Also, be okay with waiting. Waiting is not bad. You don't need same-day shipping. Waiting is fine. You can wait 3 days. You can wait a week. It won't kill you. Use the digital library app and check out your books on digital for free. I like that. Use the library. Actually, I'm going to expand on that more. Digital books. Learning free resources in general. Lynda.com. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Okay, so use coupons like that. Risco Mom, oh my gosh, we're graced by Risco Mom. Thank you for being here. I use the digital library app and I love it, even though the wait is sometimes long. That is awesome. Digital library app. Cool. Thanks for the tip. Thanks for being here too. I think honey can help with savings money. It can, Luigi. It can. As much of it as it's a meme, it is actually really helpful. How do you get your money? How do you get your money, honey? How do you get your kicks? Yeah, and Sinus Salem, can you get Grant, please? Thank you. And don't spend money on Fortnite microtransactions. Yeah, I mean, that should be obvious. It's so hard not to impulse buy, especially at Target. Yeah. It really is a mindset, though. Like, here's what helps me, Risco Mom. Whenever I'm at a Target, or if I'm at a Fred Meyer, or I'm at a place, and I want to buy something, I force myself to either Google that same product on Amazon and see its aggressively lower price, or I just think, I've gotten to the point where I can just conceptualize and think about, that product is $20 cheaper, or that's half the price online. And as long as you just steep yourself in that mindset, you won't buy as much. But what I've noticed is that Fred Meyer and places like that, they specifically cut your signal, like your phone signal, to make it a lot harder to do online searches. So I've noticed that more stores are doing that, especially like Best Buy and stuff do that too. So anyway, I read one of the series of Unfortunate Events books to my local library. Awesome. That's fantastic. Is going to stand up to reveal he's wearing short schoolboy shorts. No, I'm actually wearing jeans that I bought. With my budget. Under my budget, I bought some jeans lately. So, awesome, Risco Mom. I hope it helps you out. It has helped me out tremendously. Because you know, if you just, like I said earlier, like this goes back to the research philosophy. Never just buy things. If you're tempted to just buy something, force yourself to think about, where is this somewhere else that's probably way cheaper? At least do that. And it'll do one of two things. Either it'll trick you out of buying something you didn't need. You'll come home, you'll go on Amazon, you'll say, I actually don't need this product at all. Or two, you'll just get it for a cheaper price. So it's really a win-win as far as I'm concerned. I get immunity from wacky behavior for once. I'm sick, Diddy. Daddy Kong. Yeah, and Sinus Sam, can you get Grant, please? Alright, so, when I say use store cards, I'm talking like Safeway. Now, really, Safeway's card is kind of a scam in my opinion because they slightly overcharge and everything. But if you're a Safeway member, they reduce everything to be about what it should be, in my opinion. But I would still say, like, if the prices are comparable to other locations, you might as well get some kind of membership card. Actually, I'll qualify this. There's no annual fee. You want to avoid annual fees. Plenty of memberships don't require annual fees. Do not pay for something that makes you pay for things annually. That's a waste. I love this goal for groceries, to only get what's on my list and see if something I want. I put it on my list for next week's shopping trip. Oh, I see what you're saying. Only what's on my list, and I see something I want, I put on my list for the next week. Ah, so then by the next week, if you look at that item and you still really want it, you're allowing yourself to get it within your budget. But like, in theory, you might come to that same item and say, you know what, I don't actually need this. I'm going to cut this off. I like Fred Meyer awards. Okay, awesome. Yeah, exactly. So Fred Meyer. So make sure like you're not paying an annual fee for any of this stuff, but you're getting some kind of benefit, whether it's discount on the items you buy or it's a discount on gas. Or maybe I know Costco too. Costco has a fee though. But if you go to Costco enough, you can justify it. But I don't use Costco. One reason is I live alone, and so buying bulk and the way that you do when you go to Costco isn't as advantageous for me as it is for other families and things. So go to Costco if it makes sense for you, but I don't for myself. They don't have Fred Meyer? Kroger's. If they might have Kroger's for where you are. I don't remember what they call it, but it's something like that. My parents go to Costco often enough that the cashback they pays for their membership. Perfect. Well, I'll add that then. Costco, if it makes sense for you. I'll add that qualifier. All right. No, not Kroger's. Okay, well, I don't know where you live, Scott, but Walmart, Target. Well, Target ought to have some kind of membership card, too. Target Red Card. Okay, so there you go. Target Red Card. Thank you. So that's an example. That's an example of what you can use, all right? And when I say use store cards, I mean like sign up for their online thing too or whatever to get the discounts. It doesn't have to be a physical card, obviously, all right? So the next thing is use the library. So as Risco Mom's already pointed out, and as I believe, I want to make sure let's see. Okay, so Risco Mom and Scott pointed out, using the library is really good. There's a few things I want to talk about. You can use their digital library app to read stuff, which you have to wait a little bit, but it's totally worth it because you're not buying the books or whatever. And also it extends to all sorts of media. So movies, TV show stuff, that's definitely an option for you. They also have, for my library, they have access to lynda.com, which is a learning resource you normally have to pay for. But through my library card, which is free, I actually get free access to lynda.com. So, like, ask your library if they have anything like that, where anything you normally have to pay for, you get for free. And just ask, because it can't hurt. Actually, ask your library if they offer normally paid services free. Because they'll have learning resources on there or whatever. So never pay for things you don't have to pay for, is really the bottom line there. And then the last point is fast food apps, right? So as we established in our budgeting, you only have a certain budget, so you can only eat out a certain amount. But sometimes the temptation is still there to eat out. I get that. You want to have fun once in a while, right? You don't want to just be a slave to just like, you know, you're saving all the time, right? So I totally get that. But I would say make some rules for yourself, right? Like if you do eat out, always use a fast food app and always use a deal from their app. Or, you know, make yourself a rule like that so that you can eat out once in a while, but you are finding ways to save money still. So maybe you don't get the full-on crazy standard meal at McDonald's or whatever, but there's a deal where you can get like 2 meals and a milkshake, and that's perfect, right? So just think about things like that. Target, did I spell it wrong? Thank you. Thank you, Link. Target. The one for my library is Overdrive. And my library used to have Treehouse, which is basically Lynda for free, although they don't do that anymore. Got it. Okay, perfect. So those are examples of things that your library should have. So always ask your library. All right, that is shopping in general. Should I call it spending? I'll call it shopping and spending because it's more broad than shopping. All right. Now here's the next one. The next thing we're going to cover is credit cards and banking. Okay, so press 1 in chat if you currently do not have a credit card. I know a lot of you probably do not even have a credit card. Okay, so Fraud does not have a credit card. Link does not have a credit card. Anybody else not have one? Scott doesn't have one. Synapse, do you seriously not have a credit card? Okay, that's crazy. So people that I expected to have credit cards don't. Luigi doesn't have one, though I build credit via gas card. Okay, well that's good. So the reason why I say, okay, full disclosure, I hate credit cards. I mean it. I hate credit cards. I hate using them. I hate the idea of them. I hate that I have to use them. I hate the whole thing. The girlfriend badgers me to get one constantly. Okay, but here's why you need one. And I'm telling you to get one, and I literally hate credit cards. But the reason you get one is to accrue credit. And gas cards work in some ways, Grant, but when you're buying a house or if you're financing something or getting a car, like certain scenarios, they look at your credit score. And you can't have a credit score unless you have a credit card in a lot of instances. And a lot of people expect you to have multiple credit cards. I wouldn't go that far. I would not get more than one credit card. I know some people will tell you to do it because it looks good if you can manage multiple credit cards with different amounts on them, but I would not advocate. Yeah, Scott, let's go. Scott got a minute count. That's a hype, boys. Yeah. My mom and dad were stupid in the 90s and it took years for them to pay it off. So I've grown up all paranoid. Okay, well, fair enough. Credit cards can be disastrous. So I understand that completely. But anyway, so credit cards are baking. So the first thing I say, get a debit savings bank account. No yearly fee. The first thing to do before you get a credit card is to make sure you have a bank account. And do not get a yearly fee account. Just get a normal, standard account. In my opinion, it's not worth all the fancy extra stuff. Now, an actual financial advisor may advise you differently. So when it comes to what kind of bank account to get, don't take my advice. I've had one from years ago that I've just used. I don't pay any yearly fee for it. It just sits there. I won't tell you what bank provider I use either because I don't think they're specifically good or bad. So I'll just leave that out of it. Just get one. So you'll have a debit card. So the way that debit cards work is when you pay for things, it'll just draw directly from your bank account. There's no credit card stuff involved. There's no, you owe anyone anything, any of that. All right, so here's Donnie's recommendation. I say get a starter credit card with a low limit, use it for gas. Yeah, exactly, Donnie. We're going to touch on this exact point. And then after a year or something, you can approve a larger limit card that might benefit with cash back and no annual fee still. But at that point, basically don't use the other credit card ever. That's what I do. And having the backup one with a low limit was nice when I had my credit card info stolen. The credit union, right. All right, so Connor has some very specific ideas about credit unions. So I'm not an expert to know the difference between a credit union and a bank. So talk to Connor or talk to someone else that knows about it. I don't think they're very good or bad. Cough, Wells Fargo, cough. Yeah, that's not who I use, but... All right, so like Donnie said, get a credit card as early as high school, if you can. No yearly fee. Pay for gas. And if you don't pay for gas, something equivalent, like monthly, I don't know, like other travel fees. Because everyone's traveling to some degree, whether they like it or not. So your bus ticket or whatever it is. And make sure it's like a sort of monthly constant, okay? Like basically what Donnie said. All right? Build your credit with a low limit. It's fine. Use for nothing else. So again, this is for young adults. So down the road, if you want another credit card that has a higher limit, as Donnie said, maybe you're getting cash back for things. That's on you. I want you to figure that out yourself. I'm not going to give you any guidance on that because the main takeaway I want you to get is credit cards can be tricky things. You can't opt out of them completely. You should have one. But be really careful when you use it. Pay it off every month. Let me add that. Pay it off every single month. Okay, that is so important. That is the most important thing. Because credit cards are kind of, the way they're set up, it's tempting to spend more money than you have. And that is completely counter to the budgeting, to saving, to all the stuff that we just talked about. So just be extremely careful when it comes to that stuff. I actually prefer to use a credit card for everything. They have insurance on most purchases and fraud protection. If someone swipes your credit card, your debit card info. Okay, so this is a misconception, Connor. And again, do not take my legal advice in this regard. Take what I say with a grain of salt. But what I understand is debit cards are just as protected as credit cards. So in my own experience, when I've had debit card stuff compromised, I've always gotten full refunds. My bank required a full written out statement of the things that I purchased. But I don't think that would be different for a credit card. And I've been fully reimbursed for all the times that my debit cards have been compromised and people have spent things, okay? But again, there is some truth to it where they're not, if you're using a credit card, they are not taking directly out of your bank account in some senses. But I want to say, and again, you can't really quote me on this, but I want to say you're just as protected with a debit card. I think that's a misconception, that if you use a debit card, you're not protected and you won't get reimbursed. But it is conventional wisdom to say credit cards are a safer bet to use across the board. But I would still be really careful. And again, if you're living at home and you don't have a lot of expenses, use your credit card for one simple monthly thing. Do not go overboard on your credit card. All right, thank you, Fraud. Can you post that video in the Discord, please? And I'll pin it later if it's something that's really helpful. That'd be awesome, Grant. Or Fraud. Grant, 20,000 USD in Steam sales. Probably not the best idea. Hold up, how do credit cards work? Your description of debit cards were how I thought credit cards worked. Can someone, I'm going to butcher it. Can someone describe better how credit cards work? So the way I understand it is, for credit cards, you have a limit, right? Let's say you have a $500 limit on your credit card. That means you can spend $400 of the credit card's money, let's call it, where it doesn't withdraw $400 out of your bank at all. It just sits there. And then over time, at any point, you can choose to pay that off. So the $400 is somewhere else. So you bought the product for $400, but no money has been withdrawn out of your bank account. But you still purchased it. You'll have a month or so to pay the credit card back, the $400, out of your bank account. If you don't, you'll get penalties and fees, or they'll have some kind of interest rate. So maybe there's like a minimum amount, like maybe you only have to pay $100 of it, but then they're going to add it to $450, so then you got to pay more than you did initially. That's kind of the way that it works. I didn't really describe it very well, so if someone wants to our friend Luigi in chat and give him a better description than what I gave about credit cards, I'd appreciate it, because I don't think I did a very good job. Traveling is most of my budget. My Discord introduction, I put all of them under region. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you go. There's a reason for that. Debit card has a fixed amount that you put your money into. Credit has a limit you can withdraw up to and has a payback rate you have to deal with if you don't in a timely manner. Agreed. And I wouldn't, when I use credit cards, or when you use credit cards, I wouldn't even consider using them differently like debit cards, to be honest. I would use the credit card, I would wait a few days or however long it takes to freaking transfer, then I would pay it off immediately. That's what I do. So, in general, yes, they have the same protection. Okay, so Connor confirmed that. Always pay right away and always pay the full amount. Yep. Pay off, I'll add that, Donnie. Pay off the full amount every single month as soon as possible. Great. You build the money you use, then you can pay it all at once later. Yeah. Credit card companies don't require you to pay back the full amount. Usually there's a minimum balance owed, but it will accrue interest that you have to pay back. Exactly. Just use your credit card as a debit card. Never spend more than you have. Precisely, Connor. Use it exactly like a debit card. Perfect. All right, I'm going to be right back. I have to get some water or some kind of drink. Don't go away, and feel free to talk amongst yourselves and review this slide. I'll be right back. What is DJ Stank, and what is that doing as a clip, Grant? I'm very concerned. I love the Arizona half and half iced tea, half and half lemonade. I love it. The Arnold Palmer. Good stuff, Synapse. Never carry a balance. I like that. All right. All right, I'm glad. Thank you, Grant, for explaining to Luigi. So I would set a reminder to check your bank account once a week and pay your full balance off. Yep. Set a weekly reminder alert so you do it. Great advice. Set an alarm on your phone if you have to. Do whatever it takes. Dying. Throat hurts. Don't make me laugh. Oh. Well, it's debit card with a BIT, and the reason why I stumbled over that word, Grant, is because you said debt card. Hey guys, David is a boomer. I mean, you're just speaking straight fire, straight fact. Will all this be on the test? Yes, all this will be on the test link. Please study up, because you will have a test next week on this. Smart investing tip: buy a Chad bottle, so you don't have to constantly get up for water. Here you go. Good tip from Fraud. But see, you get less exercise if you do that. If you have to keep getting up for water, you get more exercise. Actually, we'll be right back too. Gonna do some more Gatorade. All right, awesome. Sounds good. Everyone, fuel up on your gamer fuel. Also, with credit cards, you can spend up to the limit, but for the purposes of building credit, it's actually detrimental. Ideally, you shouldn't spend more than half or a third of your credit limit. Yeah. That's why I'm saying just pay for gas and nothing else. That's what I would say. That's my recommendation. And by the way, I have a tip coming up. Actually, should I just address this now? Actually, yeah. I'm going to add this in this section because I had it later, but I'm going to do it now. Use privacy.com. So, if you guys haven't heard of privacy.com, you can basically generate a burner card to use for specific purposes. You connect your bank account to privacy.com, and then you can create, I think if you're a free account, you can make 12 cards. And what you do is you make one card for each service. So let's say there's 10 different services you use. You use Netflix, you use Spotify, and then you use Comcast to pay your bills, right? Xfinity. Let's use that as an example for your internet. You can make a Netflix-specific card with a monthly limit of $14 or whatever Netflix costs, so that it never spends more than that. And that way, if your Netflix ever gets hacked, and your like account information gets stolen or something, they'll have a burner card. And if it tries to spend more than $14, let's say they spend $200 on that, it'll just get denied. Because privacy.com has a monthly limit that they've imposed on these cards that you're generating. Okay? So, also, if you're ever buying something really sketchy on a sketchy website, not if you're buying something sketchy, hopefully you're not buying anything sketchy. If you're buying a product on a sketchy website, if you just generate a privacy.com card, and let's say the item you're buying is $20, you can give them a privacy.com, you can just like generate a credit card or a debit card from privacy.com, set the limit of $20, and then use that card to buy it, and it'll work. And if they try to charge you more, they try to steal your information, it just won't work, and you can just destroy the card afterwards. The money still comes out of your bank, the transaction still occurs, but they have nothing of value. All right? So, make cards for each monthly service you use, and a burner for sketchy websites. All right? Cashback is practically essential for credit cards from what I'm understanding. Free money. Yeah, cashback's a good idea, but don't get a monthly fee card. Cashback's fine. Do your own research when it comes to which card works for you, but... And like Donnie said, you could consider getting another credit card. Like, you might get like an Alaska Airlines card if you travel a lot. Or you might get a Costco credit card. I don't know if that exists still. There are different credit cards from different companies that give different benefits. But I would say in general, don't get one that costs a monthly fee, and be really careful about opening credit cards in general. And make sure it's one you're going to use for 10 plus years. Don't just open them because they come with a good deal. Because people will try to get you with that. I get cyclomatic immunity. Okay. Anything above 10% will actually have a large impact on your score, but it goes away quickly after you pay it off. Oh, there you go. You get exercise just from lifting the Chad bottle. It's 13 pounds. I mean, you have a point there, Fraud. Welcome back, Sonic. What if I buy something off the dark web? Use privacy.com. I barely wake up and see 5 people decided to stream at the same time. Really high intensity? That's crazy. Well, I'm glad you're in my stream. Thanks for being here. Okay. So let's review what we just talked about. If you don't have a bank account, make a bank account. You want to start saving your money there. Period. Get a credit card. You need one, whether you want one or not. You can dislike them like I do. You still need one. Alright? So, if you don't know what to use it for, pay it for gas every time you get gas. Wait a few days, pay it off immediately. Because it needs a few days. You can't actually pay it off immediately. You have to wait a little bit before it like registers. It's really stupid. Another reason I hate credit cards. Use it for nothing else if you can. That's my opinion. And then for anything you pay for monthly, use privacy.com. So if you have Discord Nitro, for example, use privacy.com. Make a Discord Nitro card. Plug that information in there and set the amount. If you pay annually, make it an annual amount of $50, whatever it is. If it's a monthly amount, set it to $15 a month or whatever it is. And then that way you'll never overspend. And if your information gets compromised from Discord, you won't have to worry about losing money. Being stolen. I saw a picture from my local Costco. It had a line notably out of the door for people getting toilet paper. Yeah, it's crazy right now because of the coronavirus stuff. No worries, Scott. I kind of went over what we talked about, so hopefully that caught you up. Just saying, never buy something off the dark web. You can get killed or kidnapped. That's actually kind of a misconception. That's not necessarily true, Sonic. All right. So, that is credit cards and banking. I have 2 more categories. Actually, I have 3 more categories to go over, but they might be less involved. We have college and university. So some of you are either in college or in university now, or you will be very soon. This is what I would say. The first thing to do is get scholarships, because there's a lot of them, and you can Google them. You can Google them. That like you can get any old crazy scholarships. You'll get them for getting good scores on your SATs or ACTs. You can get merit-based or other merit-based from school, like how well you did in school. You can get extracurricular. I'm gonna brutally misspell that. Activity-based ones, drama, sports, art, whatever your university provides. So whatever, when you're researching what university to go to, what college to go to, see what scholarships they have, because that can easily inform which one you go to. Your information can be discovered in a matter of seconds, unless you use a VPN or a proxy high intensity. If you use a VPN and if you are smart about proxies and things, you can use the dark web with little risk to yourself, to be honest. But we're not talking about the dark web today. Okay, so also, literally based on your immutable characteristics, based on your ethnicity and your gender, you can get scholarships in some universities. So we talk about the dark web next weekend. I like that, Sonic. The dark web is more about info than actual tasks. People pay in Bitcoin or Burner so they don't get found out. Exactly. It's kind of a practice. Immutable characteristics, and then student leadership opportunities. So sometimes they'll have like student government, or they'll have, student activity stuff. And if you... I'm really bad at spelling today. How is Microsoft Word not suggesting the word opportunities? Backstabber, what is up? Hey, we are talking about financial well-being for young adults. Thank you so much for being here. How are you, man? So then this is what I would say under the scholarships category. And then if you can make getting a job work, get a job. I'll say on campus if possible. Okay? Is that Tiny Vox Tim? Insane Asylum, can you get Sonic, please? Thank you. I know people talk about... Okay, so this is the kind of the conflicting thoughts around going to school and working. Some people say, oh, well, I want to focus completely on academics. I want to focus just on school. I can't get a job. I would argue that's not a great argument. I would say don't work a full 40 hours. That's pretty crazy. Work half-time. Work 20 hours a week or something, or even 10 hours a week if you can. Getting a job's not easy, but using the excuse of I'd rather focus on academics isn't, depending on your workload and depending on what you're going to school for, I wouldn't say that's a great reason. And even if you work very minimal hours a week, I still think it's worth trying to get some money while you go to school, because university and college is generally very expensive. So you do need to figure out some way to try to get money. Maybe you make YouTube videos and you get paid for that. I would say though, try to get a job, an on-campus job, because it's on campus, so you don't have to travel anywhere. It can be more convenient because typically on-campus jobs are more flexible if you have like a big test coming up or you have some kind of priority educate from an academic perspective. So yeah, I would do that. I love how we joke and have some fun because if we took this very seriously, it'd be super boring. Sonic, see, I'm glad that we're having some fun too, because I agree. If you're not super interested in this or it's not applicable to you, it could easily be boring. So that's why I was a little nervous about this, but I feel like you guys are making it a lot more fun by asking really good questions and just kind of joking around a bit. Hi all, hope you're having a great day and learned a lot from this wonderful man. Oh, stop it, Backstabber, you're too much. Yeah, we're actually going over a lot of stuff. We went over what you do with your net income, how much you save, budgeting, here's an example of a budget, how you can handle shopping and spending more wisely, how to set up a credit card and a bank account, and now we're talking about college and university best practices. So that's where we are right now. We have like 1 or 2 more to go. But then we'll have like a nice Q&A time at the end where we can just talk about whatever you guys want. Being able to pay off student loans during school is super important because you'll be paying off the principal. Interest doesn't kick in. That's right. Pay off student debt as quickly as possible, taking care of the principal. Interest free. After you graduate, the interest kicks in. Very, very good point, Fraud. Thank you for bringing that up. So after you graduate, in most cases, interest will apply to your student loans. And that means you're just paying more than you would have if you paid it off earlier. Like, there's no benefit to waiting to pay this off whatsoever. It's a complete detriment. So, like Fraud said, pay off as much of your student debt as you can while you're in school. Not always feasible when you have a lot going on when it comes to homework and classes and other things you do in college, right? But do it as much as you can. I'm trying to start a YouTube channel. Nice, Scott. Best of luck. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there, so best of luck to you. Paying for part of school out of pocket is a good idea for tax credits. Yeah, I would say if you can pay out of pocket, in general, across the board, the more you can pay out of pocket, the better, but never to the detriment of your emergency fund or your savings. That's what I would say. My computer right now can't run Movie Maker? Oh, heavens. Yeah, you should get a new computer, my friend. David would be teaching us the things schools really should be teaching us but don't. It's actually pretty wild that a lot of schools don't even talk about this stuff at all. So another reason why I wanted to talk about it myself. What are you doing on Monday and Tuesday? Because I will be staying the night at my mom's boyfriend's house. Nice, Sonic. I will probably be I'll be working those days, but then afterwards I'll be playing Smash Ultimate. I'll probably be playing Cuphead, and maybe I'll be playing Harvest Moon. We'll see. On stream. And I'll probably be in Discord. So, all right. What else we got here? All right, so that's Fraud. Since you brought that really good point about paying off the principal instead of the interest, do you have any other ideas around college and university spending and money tips that I didn't maybe think of, or anybody else in chat? Because you guys have already given up so many ones. I want to make sure before I move on to our next one, which is investments. So I have an investment category, and then I have sort of an other one that kind of covers a bunch of miscellaneous things at the end. So I only have 2 more categories to go. But before I move on from college and university, I would love to hear what you guys, if you guys have tips about it. Hey, Speed, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. We're talking about all things financial well-being, so I'm dressed up for the part because when you're in the financial industry, you have to dress up and be all crazy. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. The public school system is very interesting. I see you put that very delicately, high intensity. What is Clippy Raid? I have no idea what you're talking about, Grant. Like how they won't shut down school. Oh, for the coronavirus? Putting someone in English 1 when they did English 1 PAP last year? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I bet you're angry. I wanted you to play Mario Kart this week. Yeah, Mario Kart will probably happen on Wednesday, Luigi. So, I'm doing good drinking some G Fuel. Can't go wrong with G Fuel, my friend. Enjoy that gamer fuel. Well, personally, I went to school near home. Oh, right. Benefits of on-campus living versus commuting. Thank you. That's a really, really good... I think it's 2 M's in commuting. That's a really good point. I'll just leave that in there as a bullet point. Also start a 2-year and transfer to 4-year. Yeah. Thank you. That's another good one. Consider 2-year and transferring to a 4 university. I can't believe I missed this. So, get college credits. High school. Alright, so there's some programs you can get in high school where you can basically take college level courses in high school and get concurrent credits for those. So I actually did this myself. I basically graduated from university a semester early. And my brother graduated an entire year early from university. And we both went to 4-year universities. And that was a result of getting credits in high school. So before anything else, try to do this if you can. I know a lot of you are probably out of high school, and a lot of you it's probably too late, but just pass this knowledge to anyone that'll hear it, because that is excellent advice, Fraud. And if you're looking at going to colleges, look at going to like a local community college, like a 2-year community college, and then transferring to a more expensive one. Because you can still get, and then make sure that those credits transfer over, because you can graduate from a more prestigious university, and not pay the prestigious university rate, necessarily, for all 4 years. Excellent reminder. Thank you, Fraud. You literally gave me 2 more bullet points. I'm really glad that I asked. Oh! Clippy Raid is a add-on that my friend InstaFluff made. So when you raid someone, all you have to do is click a button if you're a subscriber, or if you're not a subscriber, you can click it too for a different one. And you'll automatically have the raid message clipped to your clipboard, and you can paste it. Thanks for reminding me. Sorry that I didn't remember what it was. Yeah, we're playing Mario Kart on Wednesday, probably. Whatever you do, don't move over the water for college university unless it's paid for the scholarship. Don't ask me how I know this. Okay, Scott, we'll remember that. So don't go overseas for university unless it's paid for. You can drink some G Fuel in the David mug. Thank you, Sonic. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my phase cup. I mean, you could be drinking it in a fantastic looking David V mug. Just saying, you could. I went to community college in my hometown for 2 years and paid $0 through scholarships and grants for my AA. Nice. Then transferred to another school for my bachelor's. That is awesome. So for her associates, she went to one place, paid nothing. Well, she didn't pay nothing, but through scholarships and grants, it evened out to nothing. And then Risco Mom only ended up paying the 4-year university price for 2 years. So that's really cool. Keep in mind, too, certain scholarships are only available to students that go to all 4 years. So just be thinking about that. So, for example, you can get a full ride scholarship somewhere if you play your cards right. So maybe what I'll do is I'll reverse the order of this. I'll say, get scholarships, be strategic, and think early about this. Because if you get the right scholarship, you don't have to go anywhere you don't want to go. If you get a scholarship that's a full ride to where you do want to go. Period. So that's what I would say. If you can't go where you want to go through scholarships, then consider an alternative path to where you want to go. Maybe it's 2 years somewhere else. Maybe it's getting credits in high school. Maybe it's waiting a few years. Like, maybe that's something I should include in here too. Consider 2-year year and transfer to 4-year university, or just waiting. Take a year or two to save money. I would say don't spend any more than a year or two to save money too, because, yeah. Can we get some hype for our new mod, Christy, who's just made it in the chat? Can I get some hype in chat for Christy? Because she is now she's our newest mod. Thank you so much for being here, Christy. I'm really glad you were able to make it. My sister went into college with 2 years of credit. See, that is awesome, Grant. If you can get as much credit as you can in high school, you're also, that's assuming that the credit will transfer over. We won't know for sure. Like, you don't always know if the credit will transfer over, so do your research and make sure. What if you are not planning to go to college and university? Perfectly fine. There's plenty of trade schools. There's plenty of other things you can do. But this is just if you're planning on going. If you plan to go to college university. Let's name the slide that, Sonic. Thanks for doing that. I'm really glad you made it, Christy. What I wouldn't give to have a year off. What do you mean, Endstream Catcher? Also, welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Luigi, for the hype. Thanks, Endstream Catcher, for the hype. We love Christy. We're glad that she's a mod. I'm homesick, so this is the first Saturday stream I've caught in the last 2 months. Homesick? When you say, are you homesick or are you homesick? How is work, by the way, Christy? Nothing much, just playing Minecraft. Nice! I'm glad that you're playing Minecraft and watching. That's awesome, Scott. Oh, David, do you like my new Discord name? I did not notice it yet, but I'll see it when I get back. All right, so I think we have college, university pretty squarely covered. So we only have 2 more categories to go. The second to last one is investments and investing. Now, I can't talk a lot about this because I'm not a professional, but there are a few things that I would recommend. Get a Roth IRA if you can. Get a life insurance policy if you can. And get a 401k through your company. Okay, well, what I'll say before all this stuff is talk to a financial advisor. And if you're a student or you're a friend of a financial advisor's kid or something, they might be able to help you out. I know my dad was on a few weeks ago on this stream, and he just blurted out his phone number. So if you guys want to watch the clip of that, I'm not comfortable saying it again, honestly, but he said he would talk to you guys. So talk to a financial advisor about investments. Don't just read stuff on the internet, and because there's a lot of scams around investing. There's a lot of people that claim that they can predict the market and they know exactly what the best thing to invest in is. I wouldn't do that. Oh, wait, that reminds me. Hold on. My friend texted me something recently that I want to bring up. Dang it. I don't know if I can find it very quickly. It's like, hold on. Many little investments app. What's it called? Cupid, or it's not Cupid. Acorns. Acorns sounds familiar. Consider Acorns, or man, what's the one that my friend uses? I wish she was here in chat. I could ask her. There's one that my friend uses. Robinhood. That's what it is. All right. Okay, so Acorns and Robinhood, what they basically do, thank you, Synapse, exactly. What they do is they basically take small amounts of money that you give them, and then they invest them in stocks for you. So it's very low risk and low committal, but it's a chance to kind of learn about the stock market and how it moves and how it works. And it's a chance to kind of make money, because typically the trend does kind of go up for the stock market over time. Now, that's in spite of how it recently took a dip. But they don't give you much payback. You'd be better off investing. Right. True. What Donnie's saying is true. But I guess what I thought about is using Acorns and Robinhood give you an idea about the flow of the stock market. So what I'll do is I'll preface this with, consider as an education tool. That's the way that I'll say it. So never invest big time in this stuff, and whether it's Acorns or Robinhood. Round up your purchases, right? If you have no experience investing and you have you can't pay a financial advisor to help you or anything like that, use that just as a awareness building tool. I don't use Acorns or Robinhood myself because I have access to an amazing financial planner. So that's why I don't even bother with it. But I know for some of my peers, it's helpful for them to kind of understand the landscape a bit more when it comes to investments. So thank you, Donnie, for that qualifier. I'm going to include education tool as a qualifier to this. School's rough. I don't get time off. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Endstream. Where are you in school right now? Oh, you're homesick from work. Oh, hope you get better, Grant. Credits transferring is also dependent on your major. Excuse me. As a science major, my language credits were covered by high school classes, but my science credits had to be taken as electives. Right. Good last point on the credits and university stuff. It was so dead, we had 2 parties of 20 cancel on us, so they didn't really need me in there anymore. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Christy. Sometimes it's good when stuff's dead so you can have a bit of a break, but sometimes it's like makes it more boring. You could go risky and invest in stocks. Yeah, I would be careful. I would consult a financial advisor when you do that, in my opinion. My school's giving an extra week break, which is pretty cool, but they're like, coronavirus will just disappear. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Talking about your dad when you're going to bring him back. Sometime. I'm not sure yet. He's a busy guy, but I do want to have him back soon. Acorn's not that great. I read what Donnie said already. Better than I was last night, early morning for sure. Shaking to 120 heart rate, but haven't puked for a few hours. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Grant. That sucks. I'm glad that you're improving, but what you experienced sounds not great. Acorns has been charging me $1 every month because I haven't canceled or whatever. Okay, well, cancel if you're not using it at all. Don't just give a service free money. Oh, got it. Nice. I don't know what that means, but cool enough, Sonic. That's me. You're a junior in high school or in university? All right, so on these points, what I would say about your IRA, if you do research and figure out what a Roth IRA is, it can be treated as savings. Now, the benefit of a Roth IRA, you can withdraw tax-free at retirement age. Now, this is very, very long-term stuff. But what's nice about a Roth IRA is the whole benefit of it is when you withdraw money from it after you retire, you don't there are no taxes on it. Now, if you withdraw money from it before that, you will be paying taxes on it. But you can do it in a scrape in an emergency. There is an annual contribution limit. Okay. I think it's around $6,000. I don't really remember. But it's subject to change, so there's a limit of how much you can do yearly, but you want to try to max it whenever you can, if possible, and then never spend over that because you're not allowed to do that, basically. All right, life insurance policy. Actually, wait, my hold on. My dad gave me some notes on this outline. I want to make sure I remembered everything that he said. All right, where's the email? Here we go. 401k as savings or an emergency fund. Okay, all right. So I'll say shouldn't be used. Shouldn't be used as savings or emergency, but can be as a last resort. Energy. Just talk to your financial advisor about the life insurance policy, and then if your company is a 401k, so depending on how your work has it set up, if you're really, let's go back to the budget for a quick second here. All right, so let's say you're really bad at putting away 10% for savings. What you can do if your company that you work for has a Roth IRA, you can set a certain amount out of your paycheck to automatically contribute to a 401k. So that they take care of it for you. Also, thanks for the Donkey Kong, Sonic. That's right. Let's freaking go. Donkey Kong. Alright, let's go back up here for a second. Oh, okay, you should get on that, Christy. Right now. Okay, university end. Nice, nice, nice. Hopefully you're dealing with your college debt. Okay. That college life is rough. It is. You live, you have to live by the skin of your teeth sometimes. It just says 02, but in Japanese. Oh, got it, Sonic. I do like your name then. Very cool. Detects a Kirby reference. Approves. This is sad that everyone is now finding out my new Discord name. Well, I mean, you go by a lot of names, Sonic, so no problem, high intensity. I'm happy to talk about more. 6K under 50, 7K over for IRA funding. There you go. We have an expert in the chat. Thanks. I appreciate that, Vitaly. But right now, it's gaming hours. That is sad. Alexa, play Coca-Cola. What? Does Lightning McQueen get car insurance or life insurance? These are the big questions we should be asking. If I had to guess, both. Car insurance would be like health insurance and life insurance would be separate. Big brain. Big brain and stream catcher has just solved the mystery. I'm so happy there's someone who gets all my references. There's someone who finishes all my sentences. All right, so Roth IRAs are good. Talk to your financial advisor about it. Life insurance is good. Company 401ks is good. You want to talk to your company about the details. It varies how much they'll match, but sometimes, like after a certain number of years, like they will match your contributions, so you'll just get free money basically. So definitely do your research and ask your company's HR department, I guess, or I don't know if it'd be HR necessarily, but just like your finance department and stuff more about this. And then again, use Acorns or Robinhood as an education tool. Don't use it as an investment platform. Not for serious investing. Ask a financial advisor. Okay, that's what I would say. So I know investments is kind of boring, a boring topic for a lot of you guys, especially younger adults. But all this stuff is important. If you take away nothing else, try to talk to a financial advisor about a Roth IRA. I would say the Roth IRA is probably the most important thing you can do, regardless of how old you are. So just remember Roth IRA. Can I get people typing Roth IRA in chat to prove that you know what the most important takeaway is from this slide? We only have one more slide left, Sonic, and it's going to be kind of a miscellaneous piece where we tackle a bunch of different ones. See, okay, Vitaly is setting a good example. He typed Roth IRA in chat. Roth IRA, thank you. Scott, thank you. End stream. This is good. This means you guys have been listening to me. Thank you, Sonic. Thank you, Luigi. Thank you, Christy. I'm so proud. You guys are passing with flying colors right now. This is good stuff. Investments are covered now, and I feel like you guys have a decent grasp of them. So now we're going to go over some miscellaneous stuff. Misc and other. These are going to be like a shotgun list of final things to talk about. Buying versus down payments on cars. We brought up Lightning McQueen. Full circle. We're talking about cars now. Never buy a car brand new. It makes no sense. It's really stupid. You're paying way more than you should. Buy used. Maybe it's used for 3 months. Maybe it's used for a year. Never buy a brand new car. That's stupid. Never do that. With buying older cars, though, unexpected expenses can come up a lot. So, provide for that. Or, not provide, that's not the right word. Budget for that, basically. Allow room in your budget for that. Okay, because I bought older cars traditionally. So my first car was a 1981 Chevrolet Camaro, a very old car. And I've miraculously probably only had 2 or 3 very expensive repairs for it. And I've had it for 10 years. Since then, I got a 2007 Toyota Camry Solara vehicle. 2007, so it's, you know, when I bought it, it was just over 10 years old. But it's super reliable, and I paid out of pocket for it. I didn't pay down payments on either car. I didn't have to pay interest on either car. And I've had to make a few expensive payments since, like when something's gone wrong with it. But in general, I've spent so little on cars compared to how many people do when they buy a car brand new. So just keep that in mind. Riches are made in recessions. I like that, Synapse. Roth index funds. Gosh dang it, Connor. So close. Is the very last one trading in Minecraft? I think we'll be very surprised to see what the very last one is, Sonic. The only downside to Roth IRAs is if taxes are lower when you pull out than when you put in. But when has that ever happened, right, Fraud? When will taxes ever be lower going forward? We know how the government is. Never trade over 10 emeralds for wheat or dyed leather armor. Very good gamer investment advice. Thank you, Luigi. Very cool. If you're buying used, make sure the car is 5 years old minimum. That way it's 50% deprecated already. If you're buying used, make sure the car is 5 years old minimum. Sorry, Synapse, I'm having a tough time understanding that. If you're buying a used vehicle, make sure so meaning it shouldn't be older than 5 years? Or it shouldn't be newer than 5 years? Because the cars that I've bought, that way it's 50% depreciated already. If you have an enchantment table, Laffy's an experience. Don't trade emeralds for enchanted tools or armor. They're saying it should be 5 years or older. Okay. Thank you, Synapse. Thank you, Synapse. Never buy a brand new. At least 5 years old. So we're 2020, so 2015 at the newest. Thank you, Synapse, for clarifying. I don't know why my brain didn't connect with that. 50% depreciation. At least. All right. Old is recommended. Cool. Thank you, Synapse. Agreed with car buying. Awesome. Awesome. I have friends of mine, people that are my age that make roughly... I have people that make roughly what I make to people that make a lot less than me that buy cars brand new. Like, they don't... I'm not talking like they bought something that was used for 3 months and it's the current year. I mean, they're buying a current year car brand new. And honestly, that is the dumbest thing you can do, in my personal opinion. When you can get a car that's practically just as reliable, that's maybe 5 years older, and cars are getting better and better and better and better. So the further the years progress, buying 5 years old is going to be less and less a problem as it goes on. Oh, by the way, Vitaly is also an expert in cars, so I would definitely hit him up if you have questions about cars in general, whether you're buying them or you're fixing them up or whatever. He's a very knowledgeable guy, so I'm really happy that he's here. He's Mikhailovich in chat, by the way. I just bought a 2015 Mazda for maintenance and perfect depreciation level. Nice! Awesome! So Synapse is confirming exactly what you were saying. That's not the only downside. The max you contribute at 401k is $19,000 and an IRA is $6,000. Compound interest will far outweigh the tax benefits if a Roth IRA, if you put more money away in a 401k. Great stuff. And again, this is all stuff that a financial advisor can tell you also. But I would say, Connor, for people that are young adults, I think getting to 19K in a 401k or getting to 6K per year in an IRA is going to be a stretch goal for a lot of these people. So if you ever get there and you're in a better spot and you can afford a financial advisor, or you know someone that can get you to a financial advisor, seek a financial advisor when you're at that spot. But before then, I would definitely go with the 401k, the Roth IRA, and the life insurance stuff until you get there. I think that'll be more than enough to accommodate a lot of these people's budgets and things. It was almost exactly 50% depreciated. That's amazing. Good stuff. All right, so that's the car piece. On renting and buying homes. There's a lot of different opinions when it comes to renting versus buying, versus all those things. But in general, I would say buy if at ever possible. Hey, Joe Tomo, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the follow. Where are you from? I'd love to know. We are talking about money, things finance related, and people are adding awesome stuff to the chat in terms of recommendations and ponders and questions. So feel free to contribute if you'd like. When feasible. In general, the reason why I say buy if possible, I guess there's a few assumptions. When I say that. My assumption is that you're going to stay there for a reasonable amount of time. If you're always moving, right? If you're always moving, buying might not make as much sense. But the reason why I say buying is better is because even if you have a mortgage that you're paying or whatever, when you're paying something off per month, like towards a mortgage, you're actually investing in something that you can sell. When you're renting, you are just throwing your money away, basically. And you're also at the mercy of to whomever you're renting at that point. So if you're renting, a location, let's say you're renting a 2-bedroom place and it's really comfortable and nice for you, or you could buy a 1-bedroom studio, and the 1-bedroom studio is the same price as renting a 2-bedroom where you have a room for whatever you want and a room for sleeping. Every month you are giving the person that you're renting from money, and they could one day be like, actually I'm moving, or I want a new tenant, you're out, you have 30 days to get out at any moment. But if you're in a studio and you're in something that you're buying, yeah, you'll have an interest rate, but you're investing in something and you can decide to move out. You can decide in 6 months, I'm not very happy here, I need more space, or I need to move somewhere else for a job. You can negotiate when you move, you can negotiate, how much you sell it for. That's all on you. So that's why I say in general, try to buy when you can. I know some people like Dave Ramsey say to not buy until you can do like a 20-year instead of a 30-year. But I don't agree with that. And just for your knowledge, I own a condo. So I'm about 3 years in to the condo that I'm in. And I own it. So it's relatively spacious. And if I wanted to, I could rent out it to other people. I could have a roommate that I split things with if I wanted to. So that's all within my control. And if I decided this is too expensive for me, or I decide I want to move somewhere else, I can sell it. And I'm going to make money, one, because of the stock market, or the housing market is kind of in my favor right now. But two, I've made enough payments on it. I did the down payment, I did everything I needed, so I'm in a good enough spot where I am flexible enough to move. Second out for 30 year for first place. Awesome. So Vitaly agrees with me. 30 years is not the worst thing. Some people will tell you, and again, it's all about the interest rate, right? So I have a 4% interest rate, which is pretty good. If you can get a low interest rate, then getting a 30-year is not a bad thing in my opinion. So 19 people will willingly showed up to be lectured by David. That makes me happy. It makes me happy too, Luigi. But I think in general, it's a thirst for knowledge that you're not getting in schools. And it's just, no one talks about financial well-being, I would say. All right, so that's what I would say about housing. Just add on top, if you can go. Exactly. So I would say if you can pay more than the minimum, you should. I personally am not right now, and that's because I'm kind of really close. Remember that rule on budgeting where it says, where I've said, where is it? Oh, wait, that's not the right category. Okay. Do not spend more than 33% of your net income on rent mortgage. I'm very close to that 33% amount. If I wasn't close to that 33% amount, I'd be paying more on the principal. But I can't right now because of the decisions that I made. If I was smarter and I got a roommate, or I rented out part of my condo to somebody else, I would pay more towards my principal. But anyway, renting out is a separate point that I'm not even going to tackle right now, because that's not going to apply to the vast majority of you in chat. All right? On buying tech. When it comes to buying tech, do not cheap out on tech, because that means wasted time and frustration for you. It is not worth it. Tech is becoming, in general, I'm speaking kind of broadly right now, but tech in general, whether you're tech savvy or whether you're not tech savvy, is becoming part of our lives in more ways than you can possibly imagine. So if you ever invest in tech, and make no mistake, buying tech is an investment, do not buy the cheapest possible thing. Do not get the one with the lowest specs. Do not get something you can't really use. Get something that you can use, get something nice, and really invest in it. Because if you don't, you will be making up for it. And by the way, time is money, in my opinion. And the older you get and the more successful you are, the more expensive your time becomes. So, at any moment, if you buy something cheap, you will make up for it in the wasted time it takes to load things that are breaking, things that aren't working, and it will just not be a good time. Justin, thank you so much for being here. The PowerPoint will be available when done. Absolutely, the PowerPoint will be done. I'll probably make a highlight where I cover everything. BRB, getting the 1400 Galaxy S20 based on your advice. Honestly, well, don't just get the most expensive thing to get the most expensive thing. But what I am saying is don't get the cheapest thing. Period. Like, just don't ever get the cheapest thing. You will pay for it in other ways when it comes to tech. Surprisingly, I took a design class that taught me more about financing than the economics class. Tell me more about that, and I want to hear about that. Cheap tech always seems to suck. Well, yeah, because cheap tech does suck. That's why you shouldn't even bother. Sure, but don't overspend on something overpowered for your use case. Right. Exactly. If you're tempted to buy something overpowered for a use case, don't do it. Hello, Frankie. Thanks for being here. We're talking about finance and spending and budgeting and a bunch of stuff like that. Thank you so much for being here. Time is absolutely money to you. Yes, exactly. And the older you get, the more that will become a reality. So that's the first point on buying tech. The second one is, do not buy used. Too many variables to go wrong. Buy refurbished at the very most. All right? I would say if you were to buy a phone or a laptop or a computer, in general, do not buy used. Now, game consoles are different. Game consoles are going to have way less variables. They do one thing more or less. There's less risk. You're not going to take a hit to your productivity or talking to someone or your job if something goes wrong on your game console. So I'm not talking about buying used games or buying a used Xbox or something like that. I'm specifically talking about do not buy a used phone, do not buy a used laptop, do not buy used stuff. And I would say that for the very same reason I would say don't buy cheap tech. You don't know what the previous owner has done to that. You don't know, not all the variables are in your control. If you've owned it from day one, you know how many times you've dropped it. You know how many times it's been in the toilet, right? Just to be frank. And if you buy used, you don't. And it could take performance hits. It could be a waste of your time. You might have to buy a new phone in a day or two because it's not going to be covered by warranty. There's just so many reasons not to buy used tech. Toilet phones, yeah. Well, honestly, people do that, and you have no way of knowing because they'll just throw in some rice and they'll claim that nothing bad ever happened to it. I'm looking at an older Mac Mini from eBay. Yeah, well, see, Scott, and it's fine if we disagree. I'm sure there's exceptions, right? I'm sure you could buy a used Mac Mini that's in great condition and you have great experience with it and you got it at an aggressively cheap price. But depending on the product, I would say you're not even going to get it for that much more cheap. An iPhone, for example, really retains its value. So you're paying close to what you'd pay for a new one for a used iPhone in a lot of cases. So that's just one example. But all right, so that's on tech. I guess what I'll do too, I'll add what Synapse said. Don't buy something overpowered for your use case. And then what I'll say last is research. I mean, in anything you buy, you should research. But on tech, it's actually a bit easier to research because you have the stats and you have the specs and you have reviews and you have ways to make it a lot easier to compare. So What's so funny, Frankie? Oh, I'm gonna go buy a Gucci smart toilet to play Fortnite. It's time to stop, Luigi. Hello, Lolly. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, speaking of real estate owners, we have Lolly in chat. She is also a owner, I believe, of a house. So one of the points I made earlier, Lolly, just before you got here, is buy when it comes to homes, buy when you can instead of rent. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. So it's cool that you're here. Yes, research for sure. You can't really go wrong. I would say in all things you buy, in general, research. We talked about that earlier with spending and shopping. Research is the first point, literally. So, and luckily, a lot of you guys are smart, and you guys know how to use the internet, and you know how to Google things. So I don't think I really have to talk very much to you all about researching. It's mostly like Gen X and older that you really have to educate, because Gen X will just buy things, and they don't know how to research, they don't know what to search for. But millennials, people our age, and Gen Z, which is a lot of you guys, you're a lot more acutely aware of how to research properly and what to search for and things. So definitely go that route. Ukulele. Have you gotten that before, Lolly? Ukulele? Thanks, Christy, for greeting Lolly. I appreciate that. What the heck, indeed. Howdy, Christy. Handsome looking sword you got there. Yeah, right? Christy's got a sword. She's a mod now. How would someone who is tech illiterate know which specs are just enough for their use case? That's a really good question, Justin. Someone who is tech illiterate. I think YouTube is your friend. I think there's a good amount of resources out there for people that are tech illiterate. And if you just Googled or you searched on YouTube, which, by the way, YouTube is the second largest search engine apart from Google proper. Search the kind of questions that you have. Tech explained to beginners, or what phone should I buy for beginners, or what laptop should I buy for beginners? And it will walk through. They should do a better job of explaining why the specs that this product has might be better for your use case versus specs that this has. Just, again, I'm confident, Justin, in your ability, or whoever you're talking about's ability to do research well. Research in 2020 is Googling the question that pops into your head and clicking a few links and comparing the links and comparing what a few people say. That is research. It is not hard. It is very doable. I was in IT for a little bit. I worked in IT. Half of IT is Googling the problem and relaying the information you found that someone else provided to the person you are helping. Okay? So Link, good question. The time frame for generations. Anybody born after 1981 or 1981 and after are millennials up until 94 or 96. We're not quite sure about when Gen Z starts, but around 94 or 96 is when Gen Z starts, I think. So, and then Alpha, I don't know. Alpha starts in like the 2010s somewhere, and no one watching this stream is in Alpha. So, Google in a private browser is where I ask all my derp questions. True. I mean, look, and on a very serious note, if you're concerned about privacy and like ads, so for example, if you search why should I buy this laptop on Google, expect to get flooded with ads on your social media sites and everything about that product. If you do want to search things with as little repercussions as possible, you could go all out and use a VPN or a proxy. But I would say try using an incognito window or a private browser on Edge or whatever browser you use in private browsing, or I forget what Firefox calls it. Because if you do searches through that mode, it shouldn't tie to your accounts to the same degree it will if you just search naturally. There are still some things that's going to track you, but that's just the nature of the internet. I believe Luigi has called me that before. It's adorable. Ukulele, it's so good. I'm going to call you that from now on, Ukulele. Oh, she's gotten Ukulele from Luigi. I love that. Main way, I would say, based on learning about specs for things, is researching what specs mean and compare it to what you want them to do. There's a lot of tech sites nowadays that give reference. Awesome, Endstream, yeah. So to answer your question, Justin, that you had about the tech illiterate stuff, just research stuff on YouTube and just ask, what does RAM mean? What does 12 gigs of RAM mean in my phone? Do I need that in a phone? Spoiler, you don't, even though I have it because I'm overboard. What's a solid state drive? What impact does a solid state drive have on a computer versus a normal one? If you just see these terms for a product you're interested in, Google what it means. There's so many resources that can explain in plain English what the differences are. All right, sounds good. VPN is a hot new thing, right? Not really. We'll see when you get back, and please drop a comment so I know that you're back. You could also use DuckDuckGo for searches. Yeah, there's also alternative platforms that don't track you to the same degree, or that care about privacy. Like if you really care about privacy, you can use Brave as a browser. They were made by the original creators of Firefox, and they're all about privacy. And you can use DuckDuckGo as a search engine, which doesn't collect your data nearly to the extent or the degree that Google does. So there are alternative platforms if you really care about privacy. Privacy is a whole other topic, though. We can talk about the dark web and privacy and all this stuff on another go. I don't remember if I said this, but 3 of my friends and I are applying. Oh, yeah, that's fantastic, Frankie. Buying a house is a really good move. Beverly Hills sounds like it would be expensive, so just make sure you're living within your means and you're budgeting properly for the lifestyle change you will have to have. I have a friend that moved to New York, and he said, everything is way more expensive here. And again, he's from like the Seattle area, so Seattle's fairly expensive, but New York's even more. So make sure you have a healthy understanding of your property taxes, of the real estate costs, of the food in the area, just everything. Hey, how's it going, Wasabi Cheetah? Welcome, welcome. F-Droid for the win. I'm not sure what that means. Internet privacy for the next TED Talk. That's right, Link. Doing pretty good myself. Just got off work too long ago. Yeah. So yeah, DuckDuckGo is a search engine that's like that talks about like how important privacy is and stuff, and it doesn't collect your data as much. All I can hear now is the Weezer song. Beverly Hills. It's where I wanna be. Oh, F-Droid is a app store for open source apps on Android. Thank you. Also, thanks for being here. Is it Ian Lamone? Am I saying your name correctly? Thank you for clarifying what F-Droid is. And Wasabi, thank you for mentioning F-Droid. I will say one of the greatest saving secrets very early in my life, late teens / early 20s, was using cash for as much as possible and setting aside any change in savings. You'd be amazed how quickly it adds up. Not sure how viable that is nowadays with cash being carried around a lot less. That's a really, really good tip, Lolly. I think there's some apps you can use that do the equivalent of that. So they round up like whatever change there is for any purchase, and then they deposit it in your bank for you. I don't know that for a fact, and I don't know what they're called, but the principle of that, Lolly, is invaluable. If you can trick yourself in little ways to save more, and stuff that you won't even really realize, that pays really high dividends later on. Thank you for sharing that tip. So anyone that uses cash, whatever change you have, throw it in a savings, throw it in a piggy bank or throw it in savings. Don't do anything with it until you go to the bank and deposit it. Awesome tip, Lolly. Thank you. Thanks for welcoming them, Christy. I appreciate it. You're meant to pronounce it German. Oh, okay. Lamone also works. So are you from Germany then? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Auf Wiedersehen. It's a pop rock song about Beverly Hills, and it was used in Malcolm in the Middle. Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. You are. Very nice. Very nice. I think the app you were talking about is Acorns. There's Acorns, and then there's also Robinhood also. But I wouldn't recommend them for serious investing, just as an education tool and just learning more about little ways you can save rather than like a serious investing strategy. So, man, Wasabi is aggressive in chat. Can we please use our inside voices a little bit? Welcome back, Sonic. Thank you for being here. All right, so I think we only have one more thing to cover, and that is, it's very random, on getting divorced. Don't do it. You have to live on 50% of your current lifestyle. All right, this is very random and out of left field, and probably no one is thinking about this. And I mean no one is probably thinking about this right now. Maybe 1 or 2 people. If you have the slightest inkling that you should get divorced, you probably shouldn't. Now, there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't get divorced, but there are some key financially tied reasons why you shouldn't get divorced. So let's say you're married after a year or 2. You become accustomed to a certain lifestyle. You budgeted out. You've done all the stuff we talked about earlier, right? You've created some kind of budget. And then as you've made more money, as you now enjoy 2 incomes instead of 1 income because you're married and your spouse is making a set of their own income, you are used to a certain lifestyle. So this number has jumped from $1,000 a month to $2,000, and eventually $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. And all this stuff just goes up, and you have new categories of spending that you're enjoying. Well, guess what happens when you get divorced? That $6,000 number goes to $3,000. So when you get divorced, you have to live on 50% of your current lifestyle, and that is rough. When you live on 50% of what you're used to, okay, you go into debt, you have to file for bankruptcy because people refuse to move out of their comfortable homes and live within their means. So it's a disastrous thing. Not only is divorce disastrous for your family and disastrous for the people around you, and I'm sure a lot of people in chat are affected by disastrous stuff, like are affected by divorce. So anyone that's a product of divorce or involved in divorce knows the emotional and relationship toll that takes. Okay? If you ever get married, never ever get divorced. And another way of saying that is think more carefully about the person you want to marry and ask all the right questions and seek counseling and seek advisory, premarital counseling before you get married. Maybe we can even go into a relationship stream after this. We talk more about that, but from a financial perspective, from a purely financial perspective, having to live on 50% of what you're making before is not easy. It's something you should absolutely avoid. Oh my gosh, Zug is here. How's it going, man? You missed a lot of stuff, Zug, but don't worry, because I'm going to do a recap pretty soon of everything we covered in kind of rapid-fire fashion. And also, this PowerPoint and this entire stream session will be available afterwards for anyone to watch. So don't worry about that, Zug. I also try to use cash if I want to buy things. It's easier to spend when it's in the bank. So that's funny, Christy. I'm of a very different mindset. Some people are, if they have cash, for them, when they make a purchase, they're seeing their money go away and they feel more guilty about spending. I have the very opposite approach. If I have cash, I feel like I can just get rid of it because in my head, it's already out of my bank account. It's not invested in anything. It's not in my Mint app. It's basically in the garbage already. It's basically down the toilet already. So I can spend it on whatever I want, and it makes no bearing on my budget or makes no bearing on my bank account because it's already withdrawn. So for me, so here's my wallet. Gotta be careful about how I show this. This is my wallet, okay? There is no spot for cash. This clip is here if I have to put cash here. But also, I love how this looks. And by the way, I gotta be careful about this. All right, so if I go like this, they're all my cards that I can easily pull up. My driver's license is back here. My other cards are there. I love this thing. I'm not sponsored by Phantom Wallet, but I love this thing. For me, having cash is not helpful because I just want to just spend it on anything. Like I'll go into a convenience store and spend it, or I'll go in a restaurant and I'll spend it, or whatever. What's more helpful for me is only using cards. And the reason for that is every time I use a transaction, I know I'm buying this thing at McDonald's. It's going to show up as a transaction in my account. I'm going to a store. I know this transaction is going to come to my account. And if Mint doesn't automatically categorize it, or if it does, I have to contend with that purchase. I have to think, why did I spend that money? Why did I pay it towards this budget? I have to contend with it in a very real way that when I just withdraw money or I use cash, I don't even have to think about it. So again, Christy, I think your perspective is probably the more commonly held one. But I know for me, because I do everything with Mint and I do everything digitally, it's the reverse for me. So I just wanted to touch on that point a little bit because it's one that my parents and I are the complete opposite of. My parents said, always have some cash on you and use cash because of this mindset. And I learned very quickly that did not work for me at all. David, divorce? Gosh dang it, Toady. No one, literally no one, David, divorce. Best advice ever, don't have babies, profit. I mean, it certainly is a lot cheaper to not have children. And if you're not, well, I would say if you're not ready to have children, don't. But I don't know if any parent's really ready to have children. I do think children are wise in general. I think you want children eventually for some practical reasons and for some, I would say, spiritual reasons, and I would say life fulfillment reasons. But the two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Children are a massive cost to you, especially initially and for years. I forgot they estimated like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but from like kindergarten to high school or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something crazy big. And that's not even counting college costs. But then eventually you have someone to take care of you. You have someone to help invest in your family. And so there are financial dividends to having kids, but it's a massive investment of your emotional time, your energy. But from what I hear, it's worth it. So I'm going to go along with that. I'm glad you can agree, Frankie. I'm sure we're talking about the divorce stuff. And if you have a child, oh yeah, the child support, that's right. So you especially don't want to get divorced if you have children for obvious reasons. When am I coming back to the Minecraft server? I'm not sure yet, Avrada. I haven't thought of that yet. Why didn't I get a notification? How's it going, Hex? Thank you so much for being here. You should have. Did you, so anybody that wants to get pinged when I go live, go on my Discord server. I'll post a link to it. Click the live channel, and then click the reaction, the "Hey guys, David here" reaction. And if you do that, you will get pinged on Discord every time I go live. So again, click the Discord, go into the live channel, which is near the top, and then react to get the role. And you will get pinged every single time I go live. To be honest, I'm the same way, but always having some cash on hand is good in an emergency. It depends on where you live, Fraud, because some places are cash only, or sometimes you need to leave a tip that's cash only or something. So I do agree in those circumstances. For my particular lifestyle, I never need to use cash pretty much. As a mom of a planned child, I endorse David with the "don't have babies if you can't do the cost." That's why I only have one. Well, there you go. I know we have some parents in chat too, so thank you, Hex, for giving your opinion there. That's true. I agree with that. Like, sometimes I'm good with tracking my purchases through my card, but sometimes I only go to the bank like once or twice a week, so I tend to have a lot of cash half the time. Got it, Christy. Okay. And I would say too, the more comfortable you are with budgeting, maybe you have a different way of budgeting, and maybe you budget in a different way, and if cash helps you save more, go the cash route. Absolutely. I'm not saying everyone has to do what I do at all. I'm saying pick the methods and the approaches and practices that help you save more, and whatever can help you trick yourself into saving more, go that route. That's what I'm saying. Same Fraud, emergency $40 cash always. So if that rule is helpful for you and helps you save more, do that. Can I claim my donations to your stream? Nope, no refunds on any donations to this stream, unfortunately. And again, I mentioned this earlier. Also, hi, Yvonne Fluffykins, thanks for being here. I mentioned this earlier, but I realized that talking about this is almost counterintuitive to me trying to make money off of Twitch, because I'm having you guys think more wisely about investing your money and spending your money. But I also think this is really important, and I want to really instill this in you guys. I also know some of you spend more money than you should in certain ways like this. So that's more important to me than making the money I would make from the entertainment value that I bring to you, or the informational value that I bring to you, which I think is probably worth something, right? I think we talked about this earlier. Time is money. So, but the fact of the matter is, I love doing this. The fact of the matter is, I want to inform as much as I can. And I don't think schools really teach wise spending or wise saving or budgeting or any of that stuff. Thank you for the 2 Donkey Kongs, Hedgehog and Hex. Let's freaking go. That's 1 Donkey Kong. Let me just invest in David V. Kimball and donate $100. Nice, Frankie. Nice. Donkey Kong! A healthy doggo actually costs less than a child. There you go. A dog, actually dogs are pretty expensive too, because they're also investments of time. So keep that in mind. How much will child support take away, David? I don't know. I'm not an expert on child support stuff. I do know that my dad in his practice... Lolly! Oh my gosh.
What's that about Twitch monies? 3.
Thank you so much, Lolly, for the 20 bits. What's this about not spending money on Twitch? I appreciate that, Lolly. Actually, I don't know how many bits you've given total, but by the way, there's like certain emotes you can use depending on how many bits you've given. So see if you can use any like the Hello Insane Asylum one or whatever. Because sometimes, like, if you've given 1,000 bits total across just all the streams, you can use a special Hello Insane Asylum emote on Twitch now. Anyway, my dad, he's in the financial industry, and he talks to a lot of divorced parents. So financial advisors deal with this a lot. So if you're curious about any of that, you can talk to a financial advisor. Depends on income of the parent. Yeah, it does. It also depends on the income of the parents. At least you can get a Donkey Kong. That's right. Donkey Kongs are just channel points, so those are very well worth your investment. I'm going to spend my virtual money how I want. You can't stop me. Donkey Kong's a really good virtual investment, by the way. Lolly's got some amazing emotes herself. Good old Donkey Kong, right? You can't go wrong. Ukulele be sending in the bits. Ukulele. Not quite enough. Not rich enough. No problem at all. I know Leisha's given a lot, so I think she has access to like 3 of the 4 custom emotes. Divorce. Man, I wish I could give bits. My phone is just crap for that, though. No worries, Scott. Don't worry about it. All right, so we've covered a lot of topics. Press 1 in chat if you've learned something in this stream. Press 2 if you haven't learned anything and this was a waste of your time. Genuinely, I'm serious. Some of you already know this stuff, so I want to see 2s if you really mean 2. If you really meant 1, I want to see 1. Because I want to get feedback on this and see if it's worth doing more like this in the future. I did not cover credit scores, but that's a good idea. We should cover credit scores. We talked about credit cards and banking a little bit, so let's go to that. Build your credit with a low limit and improve your credit score. Let's talk about that a little bit. That's a great idea, Hex. Thank you. All right, so I got ones from Scott, Fraud, Sonic, Justin, Toady, Lolly, Link, Risco Mom, Luigi, Frankie, and I got a 3 from Wasabi. So there's no 2s. There's no one here that said this was super boring. I already knew all this stuff. Where's my Fortnite? I didn't get my Minecraft advice. I want my money back. I'm going to spend my money more frivolously and more irresponsibly than before. Just kidding. That's not what I mean if you put a 2 down. What is the current David V points to USD conversion rate? It's a little bit like leprechauns to unicorns, or what you consider USD to Shroot bucks, I would say, Mr. Von Fluffykins. Or Fluffykins tokens to Rainbow Chuck E. Cheese tickets, is what I would say. Save up gold points on the Switch eShop. Very good advice, Luigi. Save those gold points on your Nintendo Switch for some great Nintendo Switch games. I'm sorry, what are the options? 1 is, did you learn something from this? Is there something that you gained from this at all? And 2, was this generally a waste of your time? Was this generally a review where you didn't gain anything from this? I was late, so my vote does not count. So 1.8. Very fair, very accurate, Von Fluffykins. I appreciate that very honest rating. Well, don't worry, because even if you came late, so if anyone just joining now, I'm about to go through the entire thing again. First, we'll talk about credit score, because I think Hex brought up a good question. So I will address credit score, and then we're going to go through each item, and we're going to cover what we covered, so that anyone that's new does not miss out on what we talked about earlier. I kind of knew this, but I'll give you a 1 because I didn't know I would be like the Donkey Kong face. That Donkey Kong emote is probably my favorite one on Twitch. Like, it's so good. I love that. Subscribe to Beta64 just for that emote. Now that's a good investment. I cut my toe. Sonic, please be more careful. There's some stuff that I already knew, but I like the breakdown on budgeting. It's really useful. I'm glad to hear that, Toady. I was half listening to you and half listening to my sister. Okay, no worries, Christy. No worries. We'll go over everything. I actually found this quite insightful. Zero, I'm so glad you did. Thank you. I have 1.7 USD in eShop gold points, and just because you get gold points for free for buying games. Yeah, that's something that we covered before. Like, sign up for these programs where you get free money, because there's no downside. All right. So, on credit scores specifically, I'm actually going to open up my Mint account in a different tab, because I don't want to share any sensitive information here, and click the credit score tab, because Mint actually calculates a credit score for you. Now, it's not 100% accurate. It's usually a little inflated, by the way. So keep that in mind. But it's very helpful, in my opinion. So my credit score, which I will give out, is 760. So they consider any score beyond 750 to be excellent on Mint's thing. And like I said, it's probably a little inflated. you can gain credit score for good reasons, and you can gain credit score for bad reasons, in my opinion. So let's talk about what constitutes as good credit score. Let's actually make a separate slide for this. What makes a good credit score? Number 1, on-time payments. Now, if you're following the instructions from our previous slides, this should be 100%. You're treating your credit card just like your debit card. Your credit usage. The lower, the better. Wait a second. Why didn't it do 2? What the heck? Oh, because it started as a bullet point. Whoops. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being smart. PowerPoint. Very cool. All right. You want low credit usage, if at all possible. Okay? Now, this is a stupid one, but again, it's why I advocate you get a credit card so early. Average age of your credit, right? So the reason why older the better. My average age of my credit is 6 years. See, 6 years ago would be the end of... I don't know why I didn't count earlier than that. But basically, if you keep using your credit card earlier for stuff like gas, you can accrue years of your credit, and over time, that'll be better. The other one is number of total accounts you have. Mine is 5. More is better, but I do not recommend caring about this metric. So, they will use the number of accounts you have to factor into your credit score. So, for example, if you have like 10 accounts, holy snap! Thank you so much for the follow, Queen of the Clouds. What? Ray, Queen of the Clouds, thank you so much for that sub. Out of freaking nowhere, you just come here, you follow, and you sub. Thank you so much. That is very generous of you. That's a hype in chat indeed, Christy. Thank you. Thank you, Toady, for the hype. That was awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. I used to have 750 in points. Nice. You were really saving, Toady. Having divorced parents had my mom and I struggling throughout my youth and sophomore year. Now I just try to help my mom as much as possible. That is awesome, Frankie. My heart goes out to you. I know there's a lot of struggling people in your specific situation where you are in the aftermath of a divorce and you're trying to make things work and you're helping your parents. So thank you for sharing that, and I wish you the best. I wish you and your mother the best in making best of that situation. Thank you, Hex, for the hype also. Thank you, Lolly, for the hype. Well, there's an investment in David V. Kimball. That's right, Link. We have a Twitch Prime investment, which was at no cost to this person, by the way, because of Twitch Prime. Welcome aboard indeed. Thank you, Von Fluffigans, for the hype. Okay, so Lolly was saying how I hate that metric. It's asking for trouble. Exactly. So just because you might get a better credit score because of your total number of accounts, in my opinion, it does not... I wouldn't say it's even heavily weighted towards the number of accounts you have. So do not just get accounts to try to increase your credit score. Not worth it, in my opinion. All right, so then your credit... This is another stupid one. Number of credit inquiries. So the lower, the better. So what I would do is I would never, ever do a credit inquiry. Like you can do a formal credit inquiry like through your bank or like... I forget who it's through technically, actually. But the number of times you ask what your credit score is, that's a red flag, which is so stupid in my opinion. So what I would do, again, is I would use Mint, because Mint gives you an approximation of your credit score without it counting as an actual credit score. Like, it doesn't count as an actual inquiry, if that makes sense. Just use Mint's estimate. I'm putting that in here. Your derogatory remarks. So, number of derogatory remarks. This is things around, like, false data or ID theft. This one's a little more vague, but it's like, you know, if you have a history with, like, the IRS coming after you, or just you have, like, sketchy stuff with your finances, you can get what are called derogatory remarks, and they completely impact your credit score. So be really careful about Again, but if you're doing everything we talked about, you will never have a derogatory remark, and it will not impact your credit score at all. All right. So, Hex, does that answer your question about credit score? Is there anything specifically you wanted to know about my experience with it, or anything that you want to relay from your experience? Coming from another country, I had to learn the hard way about credit scores. Today, my credit score is 587, as I've been trying to catch up. It went up 7 points. That is awesome, Hex. So I completely understand. When you're coming from another country or you're coming from another situation, your credit score can be super duper low, but 587 is definitely respectable. And the fact that you went up 7 points in a month, that is awesome news, Hex. That is really, really encouraging. I encourage you, again, we'll go over all this stuff again, but I encourage you to keep following this stuff, and your credit score should continue to go up. And I hope that it does. Just like what happened to me a while ago. That's right, Frankie. Yes. That's right. That's right. And we won't have to be specific about that because that is your information to share if you want to. I'm not going to share that. I still don't understand how to keep going up. What I would say is make sure your payments continue to be on time, whether it's, consistency across a given time frame. So if you consistently show that you're doing on-time payments on your credit cards, you're not using your credit usage, you're using it less. And then simply, as the years go by, the number 3 just kind of, you don't have to worry about 3 at all because it will just become better and better and better with your age and with however long you have the credit card stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, I guess what can impact this is don't close out really old credit cards you have. Keep old credit cards active. Because that'll impact the average age of your credit. The number of total accounts you have, again, don't do anything with that. Just have the number of accounts that you need. Don't just arbitrarily sign up for a new credit card or because some flight plan is telling you to or some, don't do any of that. And then the number of credit inquiries, just don't bother. Don't ask for your credit score. Use tools like Mint that will give you an approximation of your actual credit score. That is good enough. In my opinion. And then you just don't increase your number of derogatory remarks by not getting your payments on time, by doing sketchy stuff with money. Some of it's outside of your control. Sometimes you'll have identity theft, or you'll have people rob you, or you'll have stuff that happens to you. So whatever's in your control, just handle it as best as you can. What about secured credit cards? I don't know what secured credit cards are. Does anyone that's an expert in the chat, like if Vitali's still here, does anybody know about secured credit cards, and can they speak more intelligently about them than I can, since I literally know nothing about them? All right, so without further ado, as we're answering Hex's questions, let's go over everything that we've covered, and we'll do the Reader's Digest version, the shotgun version. Before I start, though, press 1 in chat if you are paying attention, because I want to make sure that enough people are paying attention before I do a complete overview and somebody misses it. Okay, I have a 1 from Justin, I have a 1 from Link, I have a 1 from Hex. I know some credit unions give this type of cards to help people up their credit score. Talk to your bank about it. Get more specifics, Hex. I would talk to your bank. A 1 from Frankie, a 1 from Scott, a 1 spelled out from Toady. Okay, so the 27 people viewing right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Ooh, no, you can't say it twice, Frank. We have 8 people. So Luigi and Lolly have added their 1. We have Christy with a 1. We have Fraud with a 1. Excellent. Okay, I think 10's good from the 27 to start. Uno, if you will. Oui, oui. If you may, if you want to speak the French. That's for Fraud, by the way. Okay. Financial well-being. This is a presentation put together by me and you guys. All right? The highlights are, we're going to add more derpy Microsoft Paint icons at the end of here. Live within your means. Save now to prosper later. Budget wisely. Take advantage of deals and opportunities. Accrue as little debt as possible. Pay off any debt that you do have and make that your number 1 priority. And don't get divorced. That's roughly what we'll talk about. First of all, what do you do with your net income? Reminder, your net income is the in-pocket dollars you get after taxes, after, your insurance, after all that other nonsense gets out of the way. In general, you want to try living on 70% of your net income. So what you pocket, live on 70% of it. The remaining 30% you're going to divide into 3 categories. Your savings, your tithing, if you're faith inclined for your church, or a charity, if you're not. And the remaining 10% goes to an emergency fund. And you want to build up the emergency fund to where it can pay off 3 to 6 months of your expenses. That's the goal with your emergency fund. That's your North Star, if you would. Okay? If you're in a different situation than most people, maybe not even most people, maybe just a different situation than the first set of people. Either you have a lot of debt, or you're able to live rent-free, whether you're living with your parents or you have some kind of deal. Do not squander that opportunity to save even more. So what I would say is, if you have a lot of debt, you want to take an extra 20%, if you can, and put it towards paying off that debt. And then if you're living at home or you have a good deal, change the 10% savings to 30% savings. So if you're living with your parents, 30% of your net income should be going towards saving for moving out, basically. In my opinion, whether it's renting a place or buying a place. Okay? The last point on this slide is, do not spend more than 33% of your net income on rent mortgage. So if you get $1,000 from a month, no more than $333 of it should be going to your living expenses. Now that's like not realistic, because hopefully you're getting more than $1,000 a month, but you get the general idea. That's what you do with your net income. Slide 1. Slide 2, let's go over budgeting. I really only have one key thing and a bunch of sub-bullets to do here. Download and use Mint. Mint is an amazing website. It will help you budget, and it will help automate your budgeting so it's not a pain. I am not endorsed or sponsored by Mint. I have just used it personally for about almost 10 years. And it's free, and it's awesome. The first step is connect your bank accounts, connect your credit cards, connect your PayPal, whatever you use that involves money going to and from yourself as an entity. See, Christy uses Mint. I know some other people in the chat also use Mint, so that's pretty awesome. Okay? The next thing you want to do as soon as you set it up and connect it is build your categories and your budgets. And we'll go over an example of that in the next slide. Do not borrow from other budgets. Do not set a budget for something, be halfway through the month, and realize, I'm just going to borrow from another budget for this budget. Do not do that. That is a bad habit. You will get email alerts and set them up if you, and just be ready to look at them if you overspend. So if you overspend in a category, maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not, you can get emails that remind you, which you can look at and identify quickly what's going on. And sometimes Mint will just miscategorize something, so keep that in mind too. If you have any annual expenses, make sure you set those up properly within the platform, because they can accommodate for that too. Be wary of your everything else budget. Mint will create an everything else budget. I think it's important to have an everything else budget for like little miscellaneous weird things that aren't monthly payments, like like paying for parking or like weird things like that. And then also you can set rollover budgets. So for example, we'll talk about this in the next thing. Be strategic about your rollover ones. Here's an example of a budget. We use $1,000 of net income monthly as an example. And this is a fictitious scenario, so don't read too much into these exact dollar amounts, but this just gives you an idea. So, but I want to touch on this last point, this rollover piece, okay? Rolling over a budget. If you have clothes set up to be a rollover budget, and you want to buy a $60 suit, let's say it's January, don't spend any money on clothes in January. It's now February. You now have an $80 budget for clothes because you set it to roll over. So you can now buy that $60 suit that you want and have $20 left over for February to spend for clothes. Hopefully that makes sense as a concept for the rollover stuff. And I might just have a whole other session on how to use Mint, although I'd want to make a dummy account because I don't want to use my own real financial stuff. That's way too invasive. But anyway, so here's an example. So we have, like we said, we're living on 70% of our net income. This budget is based on our net income, not our gross income. Please take note of that. $100 of it goes to savings, $100 goes to tithing or charity, $100 goes to emergencies. Those are non-negotiable. This is the part of the budget that doesn't budge. I like how budget and budge are similar, so I wanted to incorporate them like that. Roughly a third or less is being used towards your rent or your mortgage. You have food, entertainment, gas, phone/internet, utilities, health/wellness, clothes, and an other category. Okay? David the Minty Boy. That's me. Mint v. Kimball. You guys have my name right. Knocking down language barriers, one butchered word at a time. Hey, I can say words in other languages decently, Fraud, okay? So that's an example of a budget that you can apply to yourself. Now, these categories will change depending on your experience, the things that you need to buy, your particular environment. Maybe your health costs are a little more high because you have a certain condition. So think about all these things and how they apply. And by the way, this can change over time. This doesn't have to be fixed. If you find you could spend a little bit less in entertainment, hopefully that's like the case. You can spend more on something more important like health or food, right? So hopefully you can manage that and just do your best month to month. Make budgeting your friend, not your enemy. Oh my gosh.
Value content right here, boys.
Thank you so much, Notorious, for the $15 donation. I really appreciate that a lot. Also, welcome back, Notorious. Thank you. That is super cool of you. I really appreciate that. Big time. Okay, I'm going to move on now because we're doing this plus $15 spending money. So what Notorious has just done is he's allocated spending money, and this $15 that he's donated to me is part of his budget. I'm sure he has that all set up. What is the financial benefit of 10% for charity? I'll address that at the end of this presentation. Shopping and spending. Don't let me forget, Justin. Don't let me forget. So when you shop and when you spend, do research. I don't care if you're in a store. I don't care if you're online. Always, never just buy something is what I'm trying to say. If you're in a store and you're tempted to buy something, do a Google search on your phone. Find what that product is on Amazon or a competing store, and then make your decision. You might find that something on Amazon is roughly the same price. Go ahead and buy it. Or you might find, wow, it is way cheaper on Amazon. I'm going to wait. I'm going to go home. And either you will wait, you will go home, you will go on that webpage, and you will realize you didn't need that product as much as you thought you did, or you will buy it for a cheaper price. It is a win-win. There is no bad scenario there. Always research and compare. Never impulse buy. Ever. And sometimes stores block your internet signal, so step outside the store, do the search, then go back in. Seriously, do that exercise. Use Honey, and I'm not sponsored by them, but if you use Honey, which is a browser extension, it will tell you about the best deals possible when you're at the checkout section of the store. Always Google coupons. If you're buying something and there's a little field on your checkout page that says, use coupon code, Google, service, what coupon codes are there? Half the time they don't work. Sometimes they do work. If they do work, that's a free 20% off or 50% off or $10 off or whatever. Always worth it. Use store cards that have no annual fees. Costco does have a fee, but it can make sense sometimes. For a single guy like me, it doesn't. But if you have a family and you buy in bulk, it might make sense for you. I use a Safeway card. Fred Meyer card gives you discounted gas sometimes. You can get a Target Red card. I like how I completely misspelled Target. Those are some examples. You might as well. There's no annual fee. You are only saving money in certain ways. Use the library when you can. So there's a digital library app that I learned about today that you can use in place of buying books or buying like media. I use lynda.com for free through my library. Usually lynda.com is a learning resource that's a monthly payment and it's behind a paywall. But through my library card specifically, I can access it for free. So in general, on that note, go to your library and see if there are any resources that you can get for free that you normally have to pay for. Lastly, use fast food apps. You all go to fast food sometimes or some kind of guilty pleasure place. Download their app and make a rule for yourself. If you do go to fast food places, only use a deal. That's a rule that I impose on myself. So I only go to Wendy's, I only go to Burger King or McDonald's or Chick-fil-A if I have some kind of deal or I'm using their app. That's the only circumstance I'll do it. Okay? The next item is credit cards and banking. If you do not have a bank account, get one immediately. Turn off this stream. Well, don't turn it off. We'll finish and then turn it off. Make a bank account and also get a credit card. I don't care how much you want to use it. I hate credit cards big time. I abhor credit cards, but they're so important. And we'll talk about why in a little bit. But what you do is you get a credit card. And if you're in high school, if you're in college, just use it for paying gas if you drive a car. And then immediately pay it off. You can build your credit that way, improve your credit score. Use it for nothing else. Just do that one thing. Pay off the full amount every month as soon as possible, and then use it exactly as a debit card. Don't even think of it as a credit card. Use it like a debit card, okay? And by that I mean spend only money that you have that's in your bank account. Never, ever think about spending money you don't have, period. The last option is privacy.com. It's that you can make a free account. You can get up to 12 special cards. If you pay for something like Netflix or Spotify and you have reoccurring payments, you can create a card specifically for that service and then cap it at that monthly amount. So you'll never be overcharged. And if your information ever gets compromised, if your Spotify account gets hacked or the information gets leaked from their servers or something, they're getting a burner card, so your information is safe. If you ever buy an item on a sketchy website, you can create a temporary card with the exact amount you need for that product on that sketchy website, and you are a lot safer and a lot better off. Use privacy.com. It's free. It's awesome. They are not a sponsor. Next slide. What makes a good credit score? Kind of building off of that credit point. On-time payments. If you're following the steps where you're treating your credit card like a debit card, you should always have on-time payments. Your credit usage, you should use basically none of it if you can. The lower the better. Use almost none of it. Same reason that I said for the previous one. The average age of your credit. If you're getting your card now, if you don't have one, or if you got one in high school or early college, the average age of your credit is going to be better and better and better with age. Do not close old accounts for that reason. The number of total accounts, the more is better, but I would say don't worry about this metric. It's more detrimental than it is helpful in improving your score. Only get the number of accounts that you need. The next one is the number of credit inquiries. Don't go through official means to ask what your credit score is. It's not worth it. Mint generates an approximation of your credit score, which is perfectly fine and helpful. So again, just use mints. Don't actually do that, because the more that you inquire about your credit score through official means, the more that marks negatively on your credit score. And then lastly, number of derogatory remarks. So you shouldn't have any derogatory remarks if you follow these steps, but sometimes through things outside of your control, that can be done. So like if robbery is involved, or you get compromised, or anything like that can affect that sometimes. But in general, you shouldn't have to worry about that if you follow everything else, okay? This slide is all about college and university, which is a huge financial strain for so many people. And by the way, I say because people that think they need to go to university and college don't always need to. There are trade schools. There are so many other opportunities to make decent money without going to college and university. It's not one or the other. You're not going to be successful. You're not only going to be successful if you go to college and university. There's plenty of ways to be successful through another medium. And I hope that people realize that and stop spending themselves into oblivion. All right, but if you are deciding to go to university or college, the first thing you should be doing, I don't care about your friends, I don't care about your hobbies, you make it your freaking obsession to hunt and look for scholarships. All kinds of them. You can literally Google scholarships. That's how accessible they are. You can get them based on your SAT scores, your ACT scores, your ACT scores, okay? Frankie, thank you very much for the host. I appreciate that. So how well you do can actually determine a good scholarship for you depending on the university that you go to. There's merit-based, so maybe you did very well in high school specifically and you have a good GPA. There's extracurricular activity-based ones, so if you do drama or you do some kind of sport or art or something like that, you can apply for specific activity-based scholarships. But make sure you do it really early, because you can't do it like a month before you start university. You got to do it well in advance. There's also ones based on immutable characteristics. So if you have a certain ethnicity or of a certain gender, sometimes you can get scholarships just for that. So again, don't be reserved about the kinds of scholarships you can get. Take advantage of everything you possibly can. The last one is student leadership opportunities. So if you get involved in student leadership, in activity stuff or government, something like that, you can often find really good stuff there. That'll sometimes involve running if they hold elections or something like that. So just figure that out, and it'll be different for every university. The other thing you should consider, if there's a dream school, like a dream 4-year university you want to go to that you can't necessarily afford, think about going to a 2-year community college or getting credits in high school to then work up to going to that university. And there's 2 things you need to think about. Will the credits transfer over is kind of the big one. And then the other one is it economically feasible? after 2 years of community college, can you still afford those 2 years of 4-year university? Okay? Be really thoughtful about those things. If you're at university and you're in college, try to get a job on campus if you can, because it'll be a lot more flexible for you. If you have a big test coming up, they'll generally be more understanding if you need to take time off at random times, and they'll probably offer you more flexible hours too. So think about that. There's this idea that, oh man, I want to focus on my academics. I want to focus on my education. I don't really want to work. I get that. I get you don't want to work, and I get that you want to maybe focus on your education, but I would say that's not a great excuse. Depending on what you're studying, right? There's certain majors and there's certain industries that are a lot more intensive than others. So there's always exceptions. But I would say in general, even if it's like 10 hours a week, something really minimal, do something, because you'll be paying on principal and you won't be paying on the debt, because as soon as you graduate, to go to the last bullet point, you'll be paying, interest will start kicking in, and you basically will want to pay as much as you can while you're in school. So get a job on campus if you can. The last point is weigh the benefits of on-campus living versus commuting, right? Living on campus can be a great experience, but it can also be really, really expensive. So keep in mind that commuting is an option also. The second to last slide is around investments and investing. And I would say, before I say anything, I have a bullet point here, talk to a financial advisor about what's best for you. But I will go over kind of what I do and what I found to be helpful, and talk to your financial advisor at least about a Roth IRA, because I'd say universally a Roth IRA is just a good thing to invest in. There are some downsides. There are some other opportunities to invest in other things. But some benefits are you can withdraw tax-free at retirement. So this is thinking very long-term, but it's still a huge benefit when we get there. The only way that would be a disadvantage is if taxes went down, and taxes are never going down, because you know our government, all right? There's an annual contribution limit to it, so you can only put in a certain amount of dollars per year, but in my opinion, still absolutely worth the investment. You can treat it as a savings account, okay? So Roth IRA, you're gonna go to your financial advisor and ask them about a Roth IRA. The second piece is a life insurance policy. I would recommend looking into that. It can be seen as a last resort, but it's mostly for life insurance. I mean, life insurance is another topic, but again, I would ask your financial advisor about the best approach for that. And then a company 401k. So sometimes if you're employed with a company, they'll have a 401k you can take advantage of. And what's nice about that is, let's go back to budgeting for a second. If you're super bad about budgeting and doing the 10% of savings piece, you can automate that fully. So you can say, all right, so on this 401k, I want 10% of my paycheck, or more if you want to talk about net income, to go to my 401k. And then you don't even have to think about it. And it can be done for you. And then after a certain number of years, or a certain percentage of it might be matched by your company. Ask your company about this. Make sure you get all the details before you just do it. But can be really helpful for saving. The last thing I would say is look into Acorns or Robinhood, which are two services that kind of take small amounts of money and invest them for you. I would not consider that a serious form of investing. I would use it more as like a tool, like an education tool, to become more aware of the stock market and what's happening there. And again, always consult your financial advisor before you do any of that. But if you can't, try dabbling in that a little bit. The last slide is some miscellaneous stuff. So when it comes to cars, when you're weighing buying it outright versus a down payment on cars, never ever buy a car brand new. It is not worth it at all. I don't care how cool it is. I don't care how much you want it. Buying a car brand new is silly. I would say at the newest, buy a car that's at least 5 years old, because of the 50% depreciation it will have. Again, thank you Synapse for pointing that out, and for Mikhailovich for also confirming that. With buying older cars though, especially ones that are older than 10 years old, expect larger expenses to come up. So when you think about budgeting for your car, think about how you can do that better and allow more flexibility if you have an older car, I would say. Because you're probably buying it for a lot cheaper. What I did was I bought my two cars that I've had, one 10 years ago and one 2 years ago, with cash. And I've had to add a much bigger budget for my car to accommodate for what I'm saving on not buying a newer car. That's what I did. But if you want a newer car, just be thinking about those things. When it comes to renting or buying a home, I would say, if possible, buy. definitely buy a home. That's not always feasible, and depending on your situation, not always wise. But the main reason for that is when you buy a home and you're paying towards a mortgage, you're actually investing in something that's under your control. You can decide if it's a bigger place, like a bigger condo or a house. You can decide to rent it out to somebody else. You can decide to get a roommate on your terms. You can decide to sell it and move somewhere else on your terms. When you are renting, you're living in a space that you're borrowing, essentially. You're basically throwing your money away every month. It's not going anywhere. That's advantageous for you. And then at any point, the owner of the building can say, oh, I need to move. I need you to move out by 30 days or whatever the contract you signed. And you're at the mercy of this person to be in that space. Now, again, depending on where you are, okay, depending on your situation, that can vary a bit. But in general, I would say that's the approach. When it comes to buying tech, this is another scenario. Do not buy cheap tech, period. It can cause a lot of waste of time and a lot of frustration. Not worth it. Never buy the cheapest thing. I'm not saying always buy expensive tech. I'm just saying never buy the cheapest thing, okay? Also, do not buy used. I would say you can get a good deal sometimes, and you can get something that works great. But in my opinion, there are too many variables to go wrong, and you don't know what has happened to that device. And so for the same reason, I would say not to buy cheap tech. You might get wasted time and frustration through it. Do not buy used tech. Invest in something really solid when it comes to tech, because whether you're tech illiterate or not, tech is enveloping more of our lives, and it's only going to become more of a constant. So you need to make sure you're investing in something that's solid. Also, on the flip side of that, do not buy something overpowered for your use case. Do a lot of research, all right? Do plenty of research. If you don't know what something means, Google it. There's tons of videos out there. There's really not much of an excuse for just saying, oh, I don't understand it. If you are investing in tech and you need tech for your job or for whatever, it is your prerogative and it is your responsibility to understand it. All I'm going to say is do not cheap out on tech. The last piece, which is very different from the other things. Do not get divorced. This probably does not apply to most of you, but if you're married for a number of years and you're used to a certain lifestyle, it is very painful. Well, it's painful for a lot of reasons, emotionally, spiritually, all that stuff. But from a financial perspective, it's very painful to go from living your current lifestyle to having to live to 50% of your current lifestyle. It will involve, you'll have to move somewhere cheaper. You'll have to buy less nice things. You'll have to be more saving on food. And it's crippling for your lifestyle. So another way to phrase this is, think very carefully about the person you marry. Have all the right conversations so you know you're a good fit. And look, sometimes divorce does happen. So it's not completely avoidable. But I would say do everything in your power. Anyone that's been touched by divorce knows the tragic implications of it. And from a financial perspective, it's not anywhere less tragic. So just be careful. Yes. That is the entire presentation. I'm now going to read over some of the questions that I got during the presentation. Hello, Master Wex. Thank you for being here. These are all great common sense tips. Great PowerPoint. Thank you. I am still live, Sonic. You bet. I had to give an overview of everything. Just want to drive home the point about paying while in school. 5% interest on $100,000 is $5,000. 5% on $75K is $3,700. $1,250 that you don't have to pay right off the bat. So let that sink in. There are literally thousands of dollars of a difference between if you're paying while you're in school versus if you pay after school when the interest kicks in. Buying a gas car is silly. Buying a Tesla is smart. I wonder why on earth you'd say that. Boyko! Is that you, Boykish? Is that you, Boyko? How's it going? Thank you so much for being here. Selling a home is not always on your terms. And an amortization schedule means you are stuck there for a long time before you start gaining equity. Excellent point. That's very true. And also we have Lolly, who's another homeowner in here. At least out of my way at this point, but a mortgage is so much cheaper than rent. It's getting a bit ridiculous. That's funny. Yeah, sometimes it can be. So depending on like your town and your city where you are, it can end up being that way. Truth, I learned the hard way from cheap tech. Okay, see, everyone that's bought something crappy knows what I'm talking about when it comes to cheap tech. Mortgage also means you pay taxes and are responsible for upkeep. It does, Boyko, but it depends on what you mean by upkeep. The property taxes suck. Absolutely. Good reminder about buying. But I have a condo, so I don't do any upkeep outside. I don't pay for the like roof repairs or the lawn repairs. I'm only responsible for what's inside my walls, which to me is all the difference. So I'm relatively responsible, and I don't mark things up or break things in my house. So I am perfectly happy with being responsible for that end of the upkeep, and fine with someone else worrying about the lawn and like the roof and anything outside, which is subject to the weather and random people walking by and all that stuff. So I think a condo works best for me, and I recommend condo to really any young adult at this point. How's it going, Pop the Kirby? Thanks for being here. $1 iWatch. No, do not go to, what is it? What's that website? Dang it. There's a website, like a really sketchy website that's notorious for like those knockoff stuff. There are so many cons to buying a home, and everyone just buys into the whole, I don't want to pay someone else's mortgage mindset, which has proven flawed in the current economic climate. Again, I preface it in the beginning by saying everyone's situation is different and depends on the city you're in. But I would say buying a condo is a lot of the pros of buying a home and without a lot of the cons. So again, but also you have condo dues sometimes you have to pay. So there's pros and cons to a lot of it. But I would say in general, buying is still better than renting. I would still say buying is better than renting. Instead of getting divorced, get a prenup. Preventative rather than responsive. I mean, that's a good point. It's kind of an awkward conversation to have, but from a practicality perspective, having a prenup is a good idea. I agree with that. And again, if you are fully committed to the person you're with and they're on the same mindset as you, they will agree to a prenup. I think with the idea of, hey, let's assume this never happens, but if it does, let's be smart about this. Let's be practical about this. Like, what if a demon possesses you and you become a completely different person, right? Have that mindset. Don't be like, I can't believe you want a prenup. That means we have no faith in our marriage. Look, life is nuts, all right? Life is crazy. Anything can happen. Almost anything can happen. So, yes. Better yet, talk about finances in depth and come up with a sustainable plan before you get married. No divorce. Exactly, Donnie. I think we all want to get there. But that's a really important point. Talk about everything. Get marriage counseling. Do whatever you need to do to make sure there's no stone left unturned. I think you're setting yourself up for success at that point. This should be a YouTube video. It's good stuff. I'm going to make it a YouTube video, Wex. Thank you for saying that. Welcome back, Scott. Thanks for being here. Wish. That's exactly it, Christy. It is Wish. 100% is the website app. Yes. Since David didn't see this, I'll chat it again. Another tip. If you're buying a game digitally, buy a digital code on Amazon, then you don't have to pay taxes for the digital code on Amazon. Wait, what? I'm not sure what you mean. Can you clarify that point, Luigi? And then, by the way, to my tech point, when I say don't buy used tech, that really applies to things like cell phones and laptops and computers and things, not to game consoles. Game consoles have relatively one or two main purposes, and if they don't work, it's not going to cost you your job or a communication opportunity or anything related to productivity. So I would not put game consoles and game stuff in the same category as not buying used tech. Feel free to buy used tech when it comes to game stuff, in my opinion. Found a gold 3D printed Waluigi on Wish for $15. That is hilarious, Rod. There's some great stuff on Wish, though. Not electronics, but some great nerd stuff. At your own risk. I will say navigate Wish at your own risk. Reminder about the financial benefit of 10% for charity. Thank you, Justin, for reminding me. In the beginning, I talk about giving 10% for tithe or charity. The financial benefit, the pure financial benefit, is actually based in my presuppositions about faith and about God, and it comes from my faith. There are a lot of other benefits to donating to charity that are not financial, and I won't talk about those because I think they apply whether you're secular or whether you're a person of faith or not. But I truly believe that the Lord will bless you for doing things like that, right? So if you give back to the church, I think he'll give back to you through life and through means. So I think you're intrinsically rewarded for giving from a very spiritual perspective. So if you're not a member of faith, if you're not a believer, right, I don't expect you to really engage with that at all. So to answer your question, the 10% of tithing to charity is for the betterment of your fellow man, right? It's not for your financial well-being. It is to help anyone that can't see these tips. It's to help anybody that isn't able to, that's not able, like, doesn't have a functioning brain, right? There's so many people in so many worse circumstances than you and I that I think 10% to charity, while from a purely secular perspective doesn't seem advantageous to do, you're going to find returns in so many other areas. And I would argue you will find financial returns on them too, because God blesses that. And there's countless examples of that in the Bible. So if you adhere to the Bible, you will get investments, and I can prove it. If you don't believe in the Bible, you'll get financial responses back, and I can't prove it. Basically is my answer to that. You can also buy digital codes on Reddit and GameSale. Yes, research. Wex, if you can think of more good places to get good discounts and codes, absolutely let us know. It was for the budgeting section, I think, but essentially, digital codes for digital games on Amazon are tax-free, as opposed to buying them on their respective digital stores, where even for the digital version, you still gotta pay tax. That is a hilarious little hack, Luigi. You'll have to remember that. Man, I'm learning so much from this too. You forgot what section. Charity could also be helping someone out. A coworker the other day needed to pay for a funeral, and I and the other coworkers chipped in. Exactly. Charity could be, you could think of the 10% for tithing or charity as emergencies in service of others. That's a way you can think about it, right? Emergencies in service of others. And now Link is investing in a Donkey Kong. Excellent investment. Very cool. Very cool. And by the way, David V points specifically in this Twitch channel only increase in value over time. So they're an excellent investment. I have to sing their praises. Let's go, DK. Well, that basically wraps up the Q&A section of this, I think. But I do need to make some more terrible Microsoft Paint icons for our highlights here. So while I'm doing that, if you guys have any questions regarding what we covered or just anything at all, I would love to hear them, because we do have an AMA active on this stream. So whatever you say. I gotta figure out a coupon. This will be a coupon icon. Oh gosh, that was awful. Look, that's clearly a coupon, right? Coupon. Accrue as little debt as possible. What icon would be like debt? You guys gotta help me think about that. And then divorce will be easy. Divorce will just be like broken heart. Whoa, I have it on the right there. That's clearly a broken heart. You resubbed. Thank you so much, Wex. I didn't see that. Weird. I didn't see that come up. I wonder if there's a glitch or something. Thank you so much for the resub, Wex. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. If they only increase in value, guess I should hold on to them. Exactly. Hold on to them, fraud. Hold on to them until they're worth triple. And don't spend. Save. Don't spend. Is a Mac Mini from 2007 too old? Yeah. It's way too old. Make a treasure chest for saving. Yes. Yes. David has given me sacred knowledge. I'm so glad, Luigi, that I helped you out. Those points have never led me astray. The points? The ones that you spent on my channel? Thanks for saying that. Ball and chain for debt? What do you mean, fraud? Well, there's still my question on your favorite character in PM. That's right. I think an interesting character to cover in PM that has changed over the years would be... I know Zero Suit Samus has had some changes, because she used to have the tether grab and stuff. I'd be interested, I guess, because I played Zero Suit in Brawl. Oh yeah, a treasure chest icon. You already said that. That's for debt, right? The treasure chest is debt. All right, you guys ready for the best treasure chest I can do in this tiny size? So I'm going to draw a Pokeball, apparently. Whoops. Alright, that's not so bad. Alright, I'll give myself a pass on that. That was pretty good. Save now. Save is like just a $sign. That's so generic. Pay off what debt you have. I'll just make a number 1 icon. to solidify the #1 priority part of it. And you guys can interpret it as like the Victory Royale epic Fortnite meme you guys want. Because I know that's exactly what you're thinking. I gotta redo the thumbs up one. That looks awful. Live within your means. I'm gonna retry the thumbs up one. Like, invest in Tesla. So many Donkey Kongs. Let's freaking go. Thank you, Christy. Zero Suit. All right, we'll do Zero Suit Samus. Awesome. Live within your means. This will be a better thumbs up than the first one. Ready? This guy has a severe hitchhiker's thumb. All right, that's a much better hand, I think. Even though it's smaller, it's much easier to see. Actually, the bottom gets kind of crazy. Do you guys like my Microsoft Paint skills, by the way? I'm really proud of my Microsoft Paint skills. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. All right. We have the most boring PowerPoint presentation I could come up with. Excellent. Have I ever played Fortnite? I played Fortnite like when it came out for like 30 minutes, and I never played it again. I like my Microsoft Paint skills. Thank you, Toady. Have you ever played Fortnite, Wex? Complete side note, nothing more satisfying than going ham on Melee DK and hearing the DK victory theme. Dude, that's what I'm saying, Fraud. That's why it's something you can redeem. There's the DK victory theme, and then there's Dean Harrington just saying, this game's winner is Donkey Kong! He's just so enthusiastic. It's like, how do you not get tired of hearing that? 10 out of 10. Hand got that hitchhiker's thumb. It does. Another way to save money! Lolly with the universe brain thoughts. I love that. That's right. If you want to save, you want to make your budget on gas $0, just hitchhike the whole time. But make sure it's perfectly legal in your city first. Because sometimes it's not legal. You've never played Fortnite? Okay. I barely have a long time ago. All right. Well, I think, unless you guys have any more questions, let's find somebody to raid. 2010 is too... I would not get old tech, man. I would get new tech. I would get new expensive tech that's not overpriced. But I would absolutely not... I would not get anything... I would even consider anything more than 4 years old. Gonna be totally honest. Depends on what it is, I guess. If you're getting PC parts, different story. You can get way older parts if you're building your PC. But if you're buying like the complete package, I don't know. I wouldn't get anything older than 4 years. Just saying. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. All right. I apologize in advance if the stream starts playing and you guys hear it because... Okay, it's not playing. All right, we're going to do a little quiz here. Not a quiz. A poll to figure out who to raid. I added the Donkey Kong victory sound that used to my soundboard. Excellent, Luigi. You have good taste. A new Mac Mini is $1,000. Then you got to pay $1,000 if you want a Mac Mini. That's the way that it is. They're not cheap. I wouldn't use a Mac ever for that reason. I think they're all overpriced. But sometimes, depending on what you're doing or what your class that you're in, requires you to use, sometimes you got to use a Mac. I would just say, just don't you buy Apple stuff. Apple stuff is generally overpriced, and it works fine, but it's not very compatible with a lot of stuff. There's reasons to buy Apple, but I certainly wouldn't myself for a lot of those reasons. So thank you, David, for the free financial presentation. I learned quite a lot. I'm so glad to hear that, Justin. And hopefully, did I answer your question, by the way? Do you feel like I appropriately answered your question about the charity business? I don't know, depending on usage and price, 2017 Mac Mini doesn't sound bad. But yeah, don't use Apple. Pretty much. That's what I say too. Don't get old tech. Cries and enjoying Wii. Again, game stuff's different. I'm glad I answered it, Justin. Thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed it. Thanks, Wex. Heckin' Apple. Very, very good point, Christy. Very good point. Heckin' Apple indeed. All right. Who raid? We have Big John. He's a friend of mine who is on the Family Friendly Live team, and he's doing a Link to the Past. He's probably speedrunning it. We have Game with Gray. who's playing marbles on stream. We have Ben TV, who's playing CSGO. Ben's an awesome guy. We also have Icer playing Sonic. And we have Sundark playing Ori. All right, vote. Please vote. There's two things I want you all to do. I'm so glad you loved it, Toady. Thank you so much for being here the whole time. I really appreciate it. The Wii is absolutely timeless, Lolly. I could not agree more. I'm glad you liked it too, Lolly. So again, there is a poll. Step 1, look for the poll. Step 2, vote. Step 3, if you can't find a poll, type what you want in the chat. But don't use the chat if you can. I don't care about the chat when it comes to polling. I only want the poll. I only want the poll. Then after all this, you guys should see something. You guys should see something up here. There's a button called Clippy Raid. It's a widget that automatically copies our raid message. If you are a subscriber, click subscriber. If you are not a subscriber, click the other one. I don't remember what the other one's called. And then, Christy, if you could demonstrate by pasting in chat what you'll copy to your clipboard, then everyone can use the same message when we raid whoever we're about to raid. We are going to raid with 6 votes. Big John, A Link to the Past. Very nice. Big John is awesome. I cannot wait to raid him. Oh, wait, what? Is he there? I don't know if he's there right now. Who came in second place? Oh, it's a tie. Well, I don't know what to do there. Alright, thank you, Toady. I appreciate that. Maybe we'll raid Ben instead. Should we raid Ben? Alright, let's do another last minute poll because I don't think Big John's there right now. Should we do Ben, Ice, or Sundark? Type in the chat at this point, I guess. You guys win. Ice. Okay. We have 1 vote for Ice. Ice, 2 votes for Ice. Alright. Ice it is. We have 1 Ori. Alright, Ice is the majority. Alright, cool. He's definitely here. So, we're going to raid Ice. Please stick around, guys, and spam the raid message that you've copied by clicking this button, the Clippy Raid. Thank you again for demonstrating, Toady. Ice, Ice, baby. Perfect, Christy. Thank you. That's the message you should be using if you're a subscriber. What Toady posted is what you should be using if you're not a subscriber. Please stick around and say hello. I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys again on Monday and in the Discord. Goodbye.
Congratulations!